for Tasha Nelson is suing her ex-boyfriend's wife, 22-year-old nurse Natasha Thomas, for vandalizing her car. Natasha is countersuing for harassment.
Are you Mr. Thomas?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're his wife?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson, you have children. Father of those children is Mr. Thomas.
Correct.
It is your claim that his wife vandalized your car.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. How long are you married?
4 years.
You have children?
Yes.
How many children?
2.
How old are they?
3 and 1.
And Miss Nelson, how old are the children that you have by Mr. Thomas?
2 years and 4 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
Other than the obvious, Miss Nelson, your car was vandalized when?
It was vandalized on the night of July 4th.
Just a second. July 4th of this year?
Yes.
Did you see Miss Thomas vandalize your car?
No, I was at home.
Mr. Thomas had borrowed your car?
Yes.
Do you have any proof that Mrs. Thomas vandalized your car?
He told me that she vandalized my car.
Stand up. Mr. Thomas, did you see your wife vandalize Miss Nelson's car?
No, ma'am.
Did she confess to you that she had vandalized her car?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever tell Miss Nelson that your wife vandalized her car?
No, ma'am.
What were you doing driving Miss Nelson's car?
Me and my cousin, we went out that night, and we used the car just to go out that night. And he told her before I got home, before I got there, I mean, that I guess they don't get along.
Sit down. Miss Nelson, has he been living with you or with his wife?
He's been living with her for the past, I mean, he was living with me around the time when I got pregnant with my second child.
And what about your first?
No, he told, well, that happened. They were separated. He told me that they were divorced. When I found out that they were still married, I was already pregnant with my first daughter.
So you knew he was a liar? You knew he was a liar when you got pregnant with your second child?
True.
That's what you get. Listen, you have no proof that she vandalized your car.
He told me that she vandalized my car.
He denies that now.
Well, I mean...
I don't know. I mean, he's a liar.
Exactly.
So when am I supposed to figure out when he's lying and telling the truth? Now he's telling the truth, and he's talking to you and he's telling the truth?
Well, his cousin called and told me that she vandalized the car.
You can't tell me what his cousin... Listen to me.
Okay, well...
Well, listen, you're trying to talk over me? You can't tell me what his cousin told you.
Okay.
I just asked him, and he's been sworn, whether his wife confessed. He said no. If you want to be dumb enough to let him use your car, that's your problem.
Exactly.
That's your...
I know, I understand that.
Good.
But when he bought me my car back, he took me outside, showed me the damages, and he said that she vandalized my car. He came in the house, his shirt was all ripped up because she got thrown out of the club because him and her was arguing and fighting, and she told him that she was going to go outside and vandalize my car. She went outside and vandalized my car, and since then I've been telling her I want my car fixed. Yes, I have been harassing her, and because I want my car fixed, the police came and took fingerprints off the car. Every time they come to her house, she won't open the door because she knows she's guilty.
Miss Nelson, listen to me carefully. This is not a talk show. It's a court. You have no proof that she vandalized your car. She probably did it.
I know she did it.
Well, she probably did it. Why in the world you would let him drive your car, I have no idea. Why? He's a liar. He's a two-timer. He's married. You have 2 children with him. So, does that make you smart or dumb? Does that make you smart or dumb?
It was dumb of me again, the second one, but the first one, I mean, I didn't know.
Madam, listen to me. Were you married to him?
No, I wasn't married to him.
Then is there any reason why you should have a child with him?
Well, he shouldn't have lied about not being married the first time.
Listen to me.
And I wouldn't have
You weren't
either
married
one of
to
them.
him. Why are you having a child with him?
Like I said, I didn't know that he was still married when I had my first child.
He wasn't married to you.
So?
Go have your car fixed. Not by her.
Now, this is case number 242 on the calendar, the matter of Powell versus Jefferson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Ms. Powell, according to your complaint, you believe that the defendant had you falsely arrested on vandalism charges that came about as a result of your trying to save a parking space for your husband. Is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Jefferson says that you actually hit his car with your fists as he was trying to back into a parking space that you were saving. Is that right, Mr. Jefferson?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Ms. Powell, what time did this incident start?
7 o'clock
In the evening?
in the evening on February 9th.
Where were you?
We were in Old Town Sacramento.
Who was with you?
My 2 children, my husband, and my girlfriend, Connie.
Where had you been?
We were across the street having a celebration for my husband's birthday.
Where?
El Terranza Mexican restaurant.
And I gather from your complaint that you have a van because you have another daughter who is 15 and who is in a wheelchair.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that child was also with you on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
According to you, your husband went to get the van. There was a parking space across the street. You were saving it. You were saving it by standing in the parking space with your 9-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And he pulls up.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of vehicle was he driving?
A black car. I didn't see him until after he hit me.
Now, what happened, sir, when you got to that parking space?
I was on my way to work, pulled in the park where I always do, normally. As I started to park in the parking spot, she stepped off of the sidewalk saying that she was saving the spot because it was a handicapped parking spot. And she kept pointing to the sign stating that I couldn't park there because it was a handicapped parking spot. I tried to explain to her that the sign isn't the handicapped parking sign. It's stating that there's handicapped parking down K Street. The arrow points down that street. At that time, I started to walk to my car because she was
You
belligerent.
have a picture of that sign?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
I do too.
I'd like to see it.
These 3 right here clearly shows the sign.
Your Honor.
Just a minute. Sir, is this in front of the bar?
Yes.
If I saw that sign, I would think that this is where handicapped people were supposed
And
to park.
that's why I had a picture taken of that, because it's showing the red zone
Yeah.
and not a blue handicap parking.
I don't care. What I'm telling you is, if I saw this sign, handicapped parking, with this arrow pointing in this direction, not in the direction, and not only that, there is a ramp here,
Right.
right? I would assume that this is the place that people with handicapped parking are supposed to park. That's what I would assume.
Okay.
Now, the fact that you work in this bar and you're accustomed to parking there and the cops let it slide, that may be. But if, as a civilian, they don't put handicapped parking signs around and give you directions, handicapped parking, go 2 blocks down.
However, what she stated is incorrect also. Her child in the wheelchair wasn't on the sidewalk. She was in the bar that we work at.
Just a minute. How did you know that when you were outside?
Because,
I
Your Honor,
didn't.
he was
Quiet.
in the bar.
I
Quiet.
didn't. I didn't know that.
You didn't.
No.
You didn't.
No.
All you know is she had a child with her.
I didn't even see a child. All I saw were people on the sidewalk. When I went to park, there was no one standing in the parking space. I started to back in. She stepped off the sidewalk at that time. If I'm not mistaken, this states in the police report also.
I want to tell you something. How often do the police come into the bar where you work?
Well, they patrol.
Answer my question. All the time?
They patrol down there,
All the
yes.
time. You know them?
I don't know them by name.
Do they know you?
They know I work at the bar.
Right. I think that this thing was all handled very, very poorly. It's irritating if somebody comes and holds a spot. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I know you feel as if you had a legitimate reason for doing that because you had a child who had to be loaded into a wheelchair.
Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, he didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
But, Your Honor.
Just a minute.
I mean, this was during Mardi Gras, so it wasn't like it was just their little group on the sidewalk. There was hundreds of thousands of people in Old Sacramento at the time. So that's what I'm saying. Her standing there wasn't out of the ordinary. As the incident progressed, I got in the car, she went back up on the sidewalk. That's when I started to back to park again. She jumped back down. That's when she punched my car. I got out then, asked Shannon, well, she came out after the incident started. I asked her to go call the police. That's when the
Did you have
police-
any discussions with Shannon?
No. She had just
When
came
did you
out
find
of the
out
bar.
that her daughter, who was in a wheelchair, was in the place where you were working?
That was all after the fact.
Your Honor.
Yes.
He said that he never saw, or he was on his way to work, and he saw the parking space available. He's lying because when I was in the bar getting my soda for my handicapped child because she has diabetes, he was standing at the bar, and he had received some money. If this is the female bartender that works there, he received a wad of money from her, and he had a drink.
So what you're telling me is that he had been in the bar earlier.
Right before all this took place. Mr. Pate came in to the bar where I was standing and said, there's this parking space out in front. Would you please go stand there so we can leave and load Ciara up? And I said, yes. I went out and stood in the parking space. I did not know who this man was until he got out of the car. And then I realized that it was the same man that was standing right here on the corner of the bar and had a wad of money handed to him by a female bartender.
Is that your job? You're the female bartender?
Yes, I am.
Did you give him some money that day?
No, I did not. Can I add?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was at the bar bartending, and they had come in. The daughter was the daughter was in the wheelchair by the door. They were drinking. He was drinking shots of Jack Daniels.
Who was?
The gentleman over there.
Uh-huh.
I actually had cut him off, and she had already been drinking.
Now, this was not the Mexican restaurant that we're talking about?
It's La Terraza.
What happened to
the street?
If you had just finished dinner at the Mexican restaurant, which is what you told me a moment ago, and from the Mexican restaurant you were leaving, that's the impression that I got. Then I couldn't understand how you wound up getting a soft drink for your daughter, who was in a wheelchair, across the street at the bar. That doesn't sound right. It would seem to me if you were to put your hand down. You don't want to get up here. Trust me. I got a nose that's always right on target.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I had cut him off because he had had too many shots already.
Oh, I believe that. I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I'm not sure.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Powell claims bouncer Willie Jefferson assaulted her over a parking space. Christina says she was just trying to help her handicapped daughter.
I believe her when she said he was doing shots at the bar. I want you to understand that.
Your Honor, there was an hour span when we left the Mexican restaurant.
Right.
We walked around with the girls.
But then you went to a bar, and he was having shots. Right.
It also states, this is her statement that she made to the police.
Let me see the police report.
Saying that my husband had a shot and I was drunk.
And her husband also went to go pick up the van after I cut him off. So he went to go pick up the van to pick up the child, and I had cut him off because he had had too many shots already.
Oh, I believe that. I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I don't know if he's been drinking today.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I'm not sure. Well, you told the police we had been at the bar and we were getting ready to leave. My husband had had a shot and I was drunk.
Why would I say I'm drunk? I don't drink, Your Honor.
Well, it states right
Just a
there
minute.
you were in the bar.
Exactly. That's where I saw you, and that's how you knew that you were going to take that parking space away from me.
Don't speak to each other.
Sorry, Your Honor.
It wasn't your parking space. Don't you understand,
Absolutely
Mrs.
not,
Powell?
it wasn't.
It's not your parking space.
Exactly.
It's not your parking space unless you have a car there.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know whether you were drunk or not because this police report is suspect to me because it's been written over. And I'm not suggesting that you wrote it over. I'm suggesting that somebody changed it. Do you know what I'm talking about, sir? Do you know where I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Well, I'm going to show you.
You can.
Because I've been looking at police reports
yesterday.
longer than you've been alive. I want you to look at both places where it says I was drunk, and you tell me whether it doesn't look as if something else was there before I was drunk.
This is my copy, yeah.
Look to you like there was something there before?
Yeah, like it's, instead of saying I, it said I'm.
It looks like there was something else before that you can't completely make out. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, there's a
Sure
I. It
does.
says I, and it says I'm drunk. That's what it looks like to me.
Can't
Instead
tell
of
because
saying
somebody
I was
changed
drunk.
it.
Like I
And
said,
I'm not
it's just-
suggesting you changed it.
Exactly, what?
But I'm suggesting that somebody changed it.
Okay.
In any event, I think that you both behaved badly that day. I certainly think you behaved irresponsibly. Sounds to me as if there was too much drinking going on in your family.
No.
Oh, yeah. I believe there was.
No.
Oh, I believe there was. I believe if he had one drink, and believe me, he had a lot more than one drink between the Mexican restaurant and the bar.
No, he
had
did
no
not.
business getting behind the wheel of a van to come and pick you
If
up.
that was so, then why did the police officers let him drive away?
I haven't a clue. But I know that you were behaving irresponsibly when you came out of the bar and stood, according to you, in a parking space and got into an altercation with him. You were behaving irresponsibly. If you have 2 children with you, you're supposed to do everything that you can do to avoid confrontation.
Absolutely.
You didn't do that. Neither did he.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
No, you didn't.
He hit me from behind. I mean, he hit me. I didn't even know he was there.
At that point, when you said that he hit you as he was backing up, you take your daughter out of harm's way. You don't put her back in harm's way for him to do it again. Only somebody that would do that is somebody who was irresponsible or drunk.
Your Honor, I thought he was leaving.
Oh,
I thought he
please.
got back in
Your
his car
complaint's
to
dismissed.
leave.
I'm not going to get anywhere with either one of you. You both handled the situation very poorly that day. And this court cannot resolve a situation that resulted in 2 people behaving very badly. You may have gotten the worst of it, but you both behaved irresponsibly. You as a parent with 2 children with you, and you driving a car that is capable of causing injury. Don't get into a confrontation with people over a parking space. You move on. You got it?
Your Honor, may I
That's
recover
all.
my
Period.
$2,500?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The whole thing was fabricated. She was at the bar, her husband, and the kids.
He was already drunk, driving, picking up the child.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barnett versus Jimenez. Step forward, please.
Teacher Eileen Barnett is suing her former roommate's boyfriend, 25-year-old electrician Adrian Jimenez, for crashing into her car and her home.
Miss Barnett, you know the defendant because somehow you live in the same house that his girlfriend lives in.
Yes, I rent a room to his girlfriend.
You're not going to have to say much because I really need the explanation from Mr. Jimenez. According to your complaint, your car is parked in front of the house. Mr. Jimenez was coming to visit his girlfriend. He pulled into the driveway, I guess, of the house and hit your car. Your car then proceeded to roll into the house, causing a substantial amount of damage to both your car and the house.
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing for both.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Mr. Jimenez acknowledges the fact that his car, according to him, tapped. Is that right, Mr. Jimenez?
That's correct.
Tapped your car, and as a result of that tap, it went into the house. He, however, says it is not his fault because you left your car in neutral and parked it in not a great spot. So therefore, she is responsible. Is that right, for her car going into the house? Now, I want you to be quiet, Mr. Jimenez, because I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You see that picture that's right in front of you?
Yes.
I want you to keep looking at it. I want you to stare at it, sir. Did it move?
Not yet, no.
How long do you think you can look at that picture until it moves?
Not long enough.
Now, let's say you take your finger and tap the picture. Just tap it a little bit. See if you can get it to... See how it moved?
It budged.
Just a second. You see how it moved?
Yes, I did.
All right. Her car may or may not have been parked in neutral. Her car may or may not have had the emergency brake on. That is not the reason the car moved. The reason the car moved is because you hit it. Do you understand? Like the picture moved, not because you were willing it to move, but because your finger touched it.
Okay, I even gave her money towards the payment, okay, for me to be able to fix it. I told her, my estimate, okay, for my friends, I can get it paid, work done for $100, give or take.
Yeah, it's just a minute.
Okay.
Go ahead. So?
Now, when I went to her and I gave her that money, and I asked her for a receipt, she didn't. She told me she wasn't going to give me one. What more can I say?
Can I see the photographs of the damage, please, first?
Okay.
He gave you $100.
Right here is the photograph of the driveway where he veered off right before he hit the rose bushes. That would be right before the
Could
house.
I see a picture of the damage, please?
Okay, and right here is rose bush damage. Damage to the house. That is the damage to the house. Mind you, the wood and the grate were not on there. They were put on there for fear of burglary afterwards because there was an open hole in my house.
Your Honor.
Due to the fact of my car, after being pushed by his car
Rose bushes.
into my house, took out the whole window. We had to remove the bay window.
Okay, now can I please see the cost of replacing the bay window?
Okay, this is the cost of the bay window alone without the labor.
Okay.
Okay, I'm having a relative install it, so...
Okay, shh.
Now, Your Honor, she was already having her house remodeled, okay?
When her car went into the house, did it go into the bay window?
Went right underneath it.
Did it break the window?
No, it did not.
It didn't.
And it didn't, and it already had the fence on it.
That is a lie, Your Honor.
Of course it is. You mean she just put this wood up in front of where the window was for no reason?
You know what? I don't know why she put the wood there, okay? The railing was already there. The window didn't break, otherwise I would have seen glass.
That is another lie, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now, if my truck hit her car with the force and momentum that she
now,
says...
can I please see the damage to the car? Can I see a photograph of the car damage?
I do not have the photograph for the car damage because I was under the assumption that he was going to pay for it. So it was already fixed, and then he denied payment. He told me to go ahead and get an estimate, and I went and got it fixed. And he's saying he can go to pick apart and fix my car for $100 when there's clearly a lot more damage to the car than that.
Because the
front bumper hit the
front of the car, and the right rear bumper was hit by his car.
Yes. So it was damage to both ends. And for $100, he smacked down the table. He said he could fix it and pick apart for that kind of
rear
damage.
Bumper, which is what I'm responsible for.
No, you're not.
Why not? That's
because
what I did.
Hey.
That's what a homeowner's insurance is for.
Listen to me. Listen to me, sir. You're entitled to the damage you caused.
I was parked halfway on the driveway.
So what?
I mean,
it's my driveway.
How many people, get out their car to go get the mail and leave the car running, in neutral without the emergency brake on? I mean, Your Honor.
People that were going to go back and get in the car to drive up to their house afterwards.
Listen to me, sir.
And if you park on a slope, you turn your wheel.
Listen to me,
sir.
You
don't aim it to your house.
Why did you hit her car?
I barely tapped it when I was trying to move around it.
You're so full of baloney. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,417. Listen, you do something wrong, you pay for it. She doesn't have to say to you, you and one of your street mechanic friends can fix my car, and she doesn't have to leave her window boarded up. You caused this accident. You. Just like that thing didn't move until you moved it with your hand. Her car would not have moved unless you hit it.
Your Honor, she was already having her house redone.
Period. So what? You just helped it along.
Hey, why didn't
you helped it along?
You know?
That's all. Step in.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Morton. Step forward, please.
Nurse Danae Johnson and her husband, Robert, are suing their niece's boyfriend, 18-year-old handyman Derek Morton, for damaging their car.
Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, is this your daughter?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Your daughter was dating the defendant.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah. And you didn't approve?
Absolutely not.
According to your complaint, the defendant purposely damaged your car, or a truck that you were in. And it appears to me that when you came home one day, your daughter wasn't home, you went to the police station to find out if they could help. You thought she was with the defendant. You were on your way home, you saw his truck, you decided to follow his truck, to confront him and talk to him about dating your daughter. Is that right?
Yes.
And it was during this attempt to talk to him that he damaged your vehicle?
No.
Why don't you tell me what happened? You go home, you don't find your daughter. You go to the police, you're on your way home. You see his truck. Pick it up from there.
We followed the truck, and he took a turn.
You followed the truck?
Yes.
Go ahead.
He takes a turn down a road that has a circle drive on it, and as he went into the circle drive, I stopped and just sit there waiting for him to make the turn and come out the other side.
So you blocked his way?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
My husband got out of the car, went to the passenger side of the car, pulled our daughter out of the car.
You go over to the passenger side. Open the door?
Yep.
And how did you pull your daughter out?
I grabbed her by the arm and pulled her on out there. And
what is she saying to you as you're pulling her out of the car?
she started screaming. I don't know exactly what she was saying, but she was yelling.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danae and Robert Johnson claim they spotted their 14-year-old daughter driving with 18-year-old Derek Morton. The Johnsons say when they pulled them over, Derek damaged their car.
Okay, you get her out of his truck.
Right.
And what do you do with her when you get her out of his truck?
Well, she's standing beside me. I kind of leaned in my head in there to tell him to not be messing with my daughter, and that's when he started to take off. And he kind of hit me with his truck on the leg, and then I was worried about her because she was out of the car, and he started coming toward her and hit her with the truck.
Hit her body or hit her car?
Hit her body.
Our daughter was jumping on his back and telling Derek, go, take off, take off. I got out of the car to go get my daughter, was what I was doing. And
to pull
she started
your daughter
screaming.
off your husband's back?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And she was yelling, take off, Derek, take off. And as I rounded the back of the car, He just floored it and was taken off. And I threw myself out of the way, caught my arm with his truck, kind of spun me around a little bit. He went on down the road, and I was furious, to say the least. We all got in the car, and we're headed to the police station. And we get down the gravel road a little ways, and Derek's just kind of toying around, going 3, 4, or 5 miles an hour, you know. Not really fast enough that you could follow him, so I stopped and looked down to grab an ink pen to have my husband write down his license plate number so there could be no question who it was. And as I was looking down, Bob and Jennifer yelled, "Watch out, Mom!" And before I could look up, he had already thrown his truck in reversed into me, and then it takes off again.
That's what happened. So I was absolutely right. You went to talk to him and get your daughter out of his company, and it was during that time that you alleged that he both assaulted you with his truck and assaulted you with his truck and caused damage to your vehicle. Right?
Right.
That's what I said when we started. So I only have a couple of questions for you, Derek. How old are you?
18.
How old is she?
15.
14.
14. You get the drift that her parents aren't crazy about you.
Yeah, but I want to tell my side of the story too. So.
I'm ready.
All right. They said it's a bunch of bullshit.
Now listen to me. Listen to me. Derek, do you know the difference between rain and shine?
Yes.
Listen to me. Look at me. I don't want you to follow it through. You know the difference between rain and shine? Yes?
Yes.
Do you know the difference between black and white?
Yes.
Do you know the difference between a playground and a courthouse?
Mm-hmm.
Speak.
Yes.
In a playground, you can use whatever language you like. In a courthouse, watch your mouth, or then I don't listen to you. Do we understand each other, Derek?
Mm.
Now, you're going to start to tell me your story again, but you're going to leave out the playground language. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Speak.
Yes.
Good. Now I'll hear you.
All right. I was driving down the road, right? And then she was on my bumper.
Correct. That's exactly what she was doing. They did exactly the wrong thing. Whatever they did was wrong, mother and father.
Did you let me finish my story?
Did you just hear what I said? I said whatever they did was wrong.
Well, be quiet while I'm talking. All right, this you.
Oh, get him out of here. Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, sometimes God did not shine on you right. God did not shine on him and give him brains. It gave him the brain cells of an amoeba. You know, we all had to start from someplace. So I understand if you don't want your daughter to have anything to do with him. However, you went about it the wrong way. Do you understand?
Yes.
You went around it the wrong way. Your initial reaction was right. You went to the police station and you said, my underage daughter is with this 18-year-old cretin, and I want him out of her company. But you cut him off. You touched his car, sir. When you grabbed open the door to his car, you put your hands on his property in a threatening manner. You created a situation where your own daughter is jumping on your back. Is that ridiculous?
Well, I wasn't going to do nothing. The cops told me if I assaulted him, I'd be going to jail. So
listen to me, sir. You were creating a situation that potentially was inflammatory because he doesn't have any brains. He reacts. He reacts like an animal. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you probably knew that. I assume that you knew that. Maybe she doesn't know that. But you were smart enough to know that. You don't confront an animal. You let professionals, exterminators, confront animals. That's what the police are there for. You don't do it yourself, because when you do it yourself, you get your truck banged up. And that's what happens, and you got to pay for it. You still see him? Are you sure?
I'm sure. I think he's a jerk.
A jerk? Huh. To put it mildly, jerk. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, go home. Take your daughter home. Goodbye. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 279 on the calendar in the matter of Bielefeld versus Jenneret. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Bielefeld, other than being the owner of this car that was damaged allegedly by the defendant, you have no independent knowledge of this case. Is that right?
That is correct. She also is it her car? It's not my car.
It's your daughter's car?
Yes, she owns the car.
Okay, so why don't you have a seat?
Okay.
Step up. Your first name is?
Ashley.
Ashley, according to your complaint, you went out partying one evening, and the defendant was within this group that you were partying with. Is that right?
Right.
And you don't know what happened, but you passed out. The next day you woke up and you found that something had happened to your car.
Right.
You don't remember giving anybody permission to drive your car?
No, I don't.
When did this happen?
August 27th.
Your first name is Chris?
Yes.
Tell me about August 27th, Chris.
Well, we were all drinking.
Who was all?
My witnesses, me and Ashley.
These two people?
Right. Just
the four of you?
Yes.
Where were you drinking?
At Jean's apartment.
Who's Jean? Can I see a show of hands, please? Who's Jean?
I'm Jean.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay, we were there drinking. Okay, and as it got later, me and Dalton, my friend Dalton right there, we got hungry, so we wanted to go get something to eat. So we asked Ashley if we could use her car to get something to eat. We went down to Jean's car, got the keys out, took her car to go get something to eat.
Just a minute. Hold on. Hold a second. Let's backtrack a little bit. You were at his house drinking.
Right.
What were you drinking?
It was Smirnoff vodka and Cardi Gold, I believe.
And what time had you started drinking?
We got the stuff about 10 or 10:30, and
How did you get to his house?
I rode with Jean.
Jean?
Yes.
How did Ashley get to the house?
She drove her car.
Herself?
Yes.
What time did she get there?
We got the alcohol and we all just met up there, so right afterwards.
So about 10 or 10:30?
Right. That's when we got the alcohol, and then after that we went to Jean's apartment.
So there were two cars there?
Yes.
Jean's, your friend's, and Ashley's?
Right.
And then I assume you all were drinking. Is that right?
Yes.
What time did you get hungry?
I'd say it was around in between 3 and 4, probably 3 or 3:30.
So you had been there for a long time drinking?
Well, we weren't necessarily drinking the whole time nonstop.
I didn't say double time nonstop. You were up from 10:30 till 3:30. You hadn't gone to sleep and you were drinking.
Right.
And you got hungry about 3:30.
Yes.
Where in his apartment were you when you got hungry?
Right there in the living room.
Were you all in the living room?
Yeah.
Where was Ashley in the living room?
Look
at me. Where was Ashley in the living room?
Look
at me.
She was by the couch.
What do you mean by the couch? What does that mean? Standing
by
up at
the
it?
futon. I mean.
What does by the futon mean?
She was standing beside the futon.
Standing?
Yes.
How long had she been standing, Chris?
I don't know.
Well, it's about 3 or 3:30. You got hungry. You turned around and you saw her standing by the futon. What was she doing standing by the futon?
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to her. I mean, I wasn't
paying attention. So then why did you give me an answer? She was standing by the futon.
I mean, I wasn't specifically watching Ashley, so I couldn't tell you exactly what she was doing. But we were all in the living room. We were all by his door. Me and Dalton got hungry. We asked her if we could use her car. We went down the stairs.
Why didn't you use his car?
I just didn't ask him because I figured he'd say no.
Why did you think he'd... Shh! Why did you think he'd say no? He's your friend.
Well, because he's a little more picky about his cars, so...
What does that mean? Explain that to me, Chris. What do you mean a little more picky about his cars?
He really doesn't like to just let people borrow them or
Especially
nothing,
people who have been drinking.
Probably.
Now, what kind of car does Ashley have?
Dodge Neon.
A new one, an old one?
It's like a 95.
Is it in good shape, or was it in good shape?
Yeah.
What kind of car does he have?
ZX2, 98.
So, who got hungry?
Me and Dalton.
So the boys got hungry?
Yes.
Ashley wasn't hungry?
Nothing I know of.
Did you ask her?
No.
No, let me go back there for 1 second, Chris. You were... Shh, please. You were going out to get food because you were hungry, is that right?
Yes.
Who was hungry?
Me and Dalton.
What's the other kid's name?
Jean.
Jean. Was Jean hungry too?
I don't know. I didn't ask him.
Why not?
Because me and Dalton were hungry and we just wanted to go get something to eat.
You mean you're just selfish people?
No.
You have 4 of you there, 4 of you up drinking all night, and you say, we're going to get something to eat. So you don't say to your friends who you've been drinking with all night, hey, we're going to get something to eat. You want us to bring you back something? You don't say that?
No.
No? Where were you going, by the way, at 3:30 in the morning to get something to eat?
I was going over to my friend's apartment to get some pizza that they had, so we were just going to heat it up and eat it.
To get pizza not from a store, from his freezer?
It was from a store, but it was in the fridge, so it was like leftovers.
How did you know that he had that leftover pizza?
I had talked to him earlier.
When earlier?
Before we got the alcohol, probably around 8 or 9.
Oh, so tell me about that conversation that you had with him. I'm curious. Come on, Chris.
Well, we
Come on,
were just
the story's
talking
getting better.
and I knew...
Story's getting better.
Well,
About
we were
8,
just
9 o'clock. I'm speaking. When I speak, you don't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm sorry. I took your car. I was drunk. I'm a fool. I'm an idiot.
Okay, but I don't know.
I don't want to hear you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Ashley Bielefeld says former friend Christopher Jenneret drove her car without permission and damaged it. Ashley says Christopher took her keys while she was passed out cold.
Now, at 8, 9 o'clock, before you went to get the vodka, you spoke to your friend and said, listen, I may get hungry later tonight. You got any food in your house? Is that what, so that was the conversation?
No, I did not even plan on going over there.
So tell me about the conversation.
I can't remember the conversation.
Try to think hard. You weren't drunk at that point at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening.
He just called. We just talked, just like friend-to-friend conversation, and I knew that he had leftover pizza, and I knew he would still be up at that time, so we went over there to get some, which I never even ate because of this.
Because of what?
The car.
Well, now tell me what happened with the car. You went over to Ashley and you asked her for the keys when she was standing next to the futon after having been drinking from 10:30 until 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
And she said, sure, take my keys. She gave you the keys, is that right?
Yes.
And you got into the car?
The keys were in Jean's car.
You went down to Jean's car and got the keys?
Right.
What were the keys to Ashley's car doing in Jean's car?
I have no idea. I just know that the keys were in Jean's car.
How do you know that?
Well, okay, we went joyriding for a little while in Jean's car, all four of us. We drove around.
When did you do that?
This was before we got food, but after we started drinking. We were a little bored. We went driving around.
So that's somewhere after 10:30, but before 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
You went joyriding.
Yeah, it was probably
in his
around
car.
12, maybe.
Shh. In his car.
Yes.
So explain to me how her keys were in his car.
She had left them in there.
How do you know that?
I just knew.
How did you know? Look at me.
Because I knew they were in there. I saw them in there. I mean,
you saw them?
Yeah.
Just a minute. Because you saw them, that she had left them in the car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Keep going. I love it when they sort of trip over their ties.
Okay, so where would you like me to begin at?
No, I'd like you to continue, sir. You asked her for the keys when she
Right.
was standing next to the futon.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
But you already knew where the car keys were because they were downstairs in the car because that's where you had seen them when you were joyriding at 12:30. Is that correct? Yes. All right. So then you went downstairs and you took the keys out of Jean's car. Let's pick it up from there.
Okay. So then me and Dalton got in her car. We started driving. We were getting on the highway to go over there. Whenever we were entering the highway, we had to turn right to get on the ramp. So we turned right, we hit something, we had a blowout, we pulled over, and me and Dalton had walked back to Jean's house so that we could get him to take us back and help us change the tire and everything. So, because there was like nothing in there to fix the tire with, so we had Jean come back and help us.
Now, Ashley, according to you, you were so drunk, you just either drunk or drugged or something. You passed out and you don't know what was going on.
I don't remember anything after we were driving in Jean's car.
Can I see the estimates for the car, please? Now, Mr. Jenneret, I am going to sum up the credible parts of your testimony, sir. And maybe this is a good lesson for you. Just because people are older doesn't mean that they're stupid. You were trying to get over telling me a story that didn't make sense. And I assume that you understand at this point that I understand that the story you gave me initially and the story that you wrote in your answer was a lot of who shot John. Because I believe that you all were drinking from 10:30 until 3:30. I believe that you all went out joyriding in his car. I believe that you decided to continue the joyriding and that he said to you, you're not taking my car again because you're drunk as a skunk. I do not believe that you asked her for the keys to her car because you already knew where the keys to her car were. You had seen them in the car at 12:30 when you came in. So you knew that her keys were downstairs. Why in the world would you go over to her when she was standing next to a futon and saying, can I have your keys, when you already knew where her keys were? Stand up straight. Now, when you hit something, according to you, you just had a blowout and that's all you had. No, that's not what happened. You hit something with such force that the tire blew out, knocking the whole alignment off the car. That's what happened. You're responsible. Period. End of discussion. I'm sorry. I took your car without permission. I was drunk. I had no right to be driving a car. I not only could have killed myself, I could have killed somebody else. I'm a fool. I'm an idiot. And I'm going to pay for the damage I caused. That's what you do.
Okay, but I don't know.
I don't want to hear you. Whatever damage it was, maybe it wasn't attributed to you. Sometimes when you're stupid, you got to pay for things that weren't even your fault. Sometimes you do. Maybe the bumper on the car was loose and might have fallen off the next day, but because you took the car and hit something, it was damaged already. You damaged it a little bit more, it fell off. It's your fault. You had no right to get behind the wheel of a car, any car, yours, his, hers, because you were drinking. No right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Ashley Bielefeld says former friend Christopher Jenneret drove her car without permission and damaged it. Ashley says Christopher took her keys while she was passed out cold.
Anything you want to say? Anything you...
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
I just want to make sure that the fact that he did ask for the keys. Me and Ashley were sitting on the couch.
No. You weren't sitting on the couch, sir. She was standing by the futon.
That is the couch.
She was standing by the futon.
I'm saying we were sitting on the couch.
Well, so far, that's a different story that he just gave me.
That's my story. I
Let's
believe...
go. So you and Ashley were sitting on the couch. And?
Yes. And he came up, asked her for her car, and she said her keys were in my car. And then he asked me for my keys to see if he could go to the car and get her keys, which is what happened.
Well, but that's not what he just told me, sir. He told me that he saw the keys in her car after you had been joyriding in your car. So he knew where the keys were. You see, that's what he just told me. Maybe you're all a little blurred because you were drinking too much.
I understand.
Is that a possibility?
Yes, it is.
Good. Sit down. You want to say anything?
No, I'm all right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $744.52. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't remember that night.
Well, yeah, we were partying and it did get out of hand.
They're obviously too young and irresponsible to be doing acts like this, drinking and driving, out running around.
What's done is done.
I want her to be able to put this behind her and move on.
Diane Dennis is suing her daughter, Christy Dennis, for fraudulently using her home as collateral on a bail bond. Christy claims she paid her back.
Mr. Dennis, this is your daughter.
Yes.
According to your complaint, your daughter has had a difficult adulthood. She has some children that you are caring for because she had a drug problem for a while and was unable to care for the children. And I assume that you're doing okay now.
Yes.
You look fine.
Thank you.
Sometime during that period of time, she gave you the home that she had, and you and the children live in that home.
Yes.
You subsequently found out that she had used that home while it was still in her name as collateral for bail for her boyfriend.
Right.
The boyfriend skipped out. The bail was up to several $1,000s. There was a lien on the house for that amount of money, and you want her to pay you back for that.
That's correct.
Is there a mortgage on the house?
Yeah.
How much did you pay for it?
$115,000.
When did you buy it?
It would be like 96 or 97? 99. Oh, 99.
What's the house now worth?
$150,000.
So it is appreciated in value?
Yes.
And when did she give it to you?
In September of '03.
And are you paying the mortgage on the house now?
Yes, I am.
Did you put any money down on the house?
No, I didn't.
So the house is now worth approximately $35,000 more than when you purchased it. And you put in zero money.
Well, I put some upgrades in the home, but I didn't.
That has nothing to do with, you put in zero money.
That's right.
To purchase it.
Right.
And between 1999 and 2003, you paid the mortgage?
Yeah.
You did not pay the mortgage.
Well, I did. It went into foreclosure 3 times during that time. It was because of non-payment. So the first time it was $1,800. That was in '01. She came to me and said, I'm in big trouble.
Okay, that was $1,800. And
okay,
then?
a year later in $1,200, and I paid that. And then I moved in with her. She was having trouble paying her bills and everything. And in 2003, it went into foreclosure for the 3rd time for non-payment.
But you were living with her at the time?
Yes, and I was giving her my half of the house payment to pay, but she was not paying the house payment. So then we owed $2,425. And I said, well, if you want me to pay it this time, it's no longer your house.
And that was in September of 2003?
Yes.
And when did you actually turn the house over to your mother?
September of 2003.
And when did you use the house as collateral for bail for your boyfriend?
In June of 2004.
Well, how could you use the house as collateral?
Well, it was still in my name.
Well, how could it be in your name if you turned it over to your mother? When did you
kept it in my name.
Oh, she can't do that.
No,
Why did
what
you
we
keep it in
did
your
is
name?
that we did a quit claim deed and we notarized it and everything, but I did not record it at the county recorder's office.
Why not?
Because I was not anxious to take her house, and she said that she was going to pay me back. And so I put on the letter of explanation on the quit claim deed, I gave her a little bit of time to do that and said if she did it by a certain date.
Miss Dennis.
She never did it.
Diane Dennis says her daughter, Christy Dennis, owes for a bail lien on her home.
Ms. Dennis, if you had recorded the deed, which you, I assume, ultimately did.
Yes, I did.
Then she couldn't have used the house as collateral.
That's right. That was my mistake, definitely.
It was your mistake.
Right.
But you're really not out any money because you have a home in which you put in no money and you have equity in the house of over $35,000.
Yes, and I've helped her a lot. The only thing
we're not talking about you helping her. And I assume that when she gave you this house, and if there was an increased equity of $35,000, nobody paid any federal gift tax on the house.
Well, it hasn't been sold.
It doesn't have to be sold. She gave you a gift. And if the gift is in excess of $10,000, you have to pay a gift tax on that, Ms. Dennis.
She was going into foreclosure. It was either going to go to the bank or to me.
You're making excuses. You know exactly what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is you now have a home in which at most you put in $4,000 if you paid the back mortgage payment.
No, that was over $6,000, three times.
I have 18 and 22.
And then 24, 25 the last time. That was the foreclosure.
You were living, just a second, you were living there.
And giving her the payment.
You were living there. I don't believe that you were giving her the payment, Miss Dennis.
Was I giving, okay.
Miss Dennis, I don't believe you were giving her the payment. With her history of not paying the mortgage, it doesn't sound right to me that if you're living there because your daughter's on drugs, that you would turn over your half of the mortgage payment to her so that she would pay the mortgage. Miss Dennis, it doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not true.
Okay.
So,
well, I thought she wasn't paying the payment because she didn't have the money. She went through a hard time. She lost her partner.
Miss Dennis, I don't
working.
believe you that you were giving her the money. I don't believe that you were living in the house with her to take care of your grandchildren because she was going through a difficult time, according to you, on drugs, and you were handing her over money. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
well, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Okay, after she signed the quitclaim deed, the only thing that changed is that I was now making the payment.
Miss Dennis, you have a house in which you have now $35,000 in equity for which you paid nothing.
Your Honor, I upgraded the downstairs.
Good for you. Now you own the house.
At the time I took the quitclaim deed, she had about $10,000 worth of equity. This has been since 2003 that she signed it over to me. In 2004, she used it as collateral to get her boyfriend out of jail.
Couldn't
now
have
that's
done that.
Only
couldn't have done that, my dear, if you had taken the deed.
But it still changes hands. The only thing is it doesn't give notice as far as I gave constructive notice because I'm living in the house.
Don't tell me about constructive notice. You did not give constructive notice to the bail bondsman. Because if you did, then the bail bondsman would not have been.
Yeah, I found out that about.
You think if you talk more than me,
no,
you're wrong on the law, Miss Dennis.
Of course, but
of course.
A year
so
later,
if you're wrong on the law, and if you come to a court, somebody's going to say to you, "You're wrong on the law." A certain amount of sympathy, because if you were out money, I would say,
I
have sympathy. Well, that's not what this is about. We're here on one particular issue. And the one issue that we're here to address is whether or not you are entitled to the money that you had to repay to take a lien off your house.
Right.
And I'm saying to you that it wasn't your house.
Okay.
Unless you record it, because that's what the law requires. That you record a deed so that the rest of the world knows that this is your property. The law does not require that with regard to personal property, the locket around your neck, the shirt that you're wearing, but the law requires that with regard to land.
Right.
You chose, for whatever reason, not to do that. She was absolutely entitled, therefore, during that period of time to use her house as collateral. Now, if you're looking for a sympathy factor, there is none, because according to you, the equity that she had built up until 2003 was $10,000. Now the equity is $35,000. So sympathetically, it's here. Morally, it's here.
Okay, I paid over $6,000 just to get it out of foreclosure when she was non-paying. Okay, I put in improvements that was way over the
Goodbye, Miss Dennis. You're not getting anywhere. The case is dismissed.
Okay.
Your boyfriend's mother.
Yes.
I assume this is the boyfriend.
Yes, he is.
How long have you been his girlfriend?
We're actually broken up right now. We were dating for about a month.
Not dating anymore?
No.
Any particular reason?
We were good friends, and I didn't want to ruin our friendship.
Okay. It is your complaint that Mrs. Irwin, for no good reason, broke your cell phone.
Yes, she did.
And you want her to pay for it.
Yes.
And Miss Irwin says you were an uninvited guest in her home, and that precipitated this incident with the cell phone. So why don't you tell me when this happened?
This happened in February, the 21st. Ryan and I were dating at the time. We had gotten back to his house and we were watching TV, relaxing.
Where were you watching TV?
Up in his living room. And Bernice came home.
Bernice, that's you?
Yes. And she came home yelling and freaking out on Ryan. She began to yell at him even more and put him down.
What was she saying?
You're a loser, you're good for nothing. And then she began to hit him, smack him in the face.
What did he say to her?
Nothing. Nothing was really said. She was just like, you're a loser. And Ryan was just simply not saying anything because I was present. And when she came into the living room, she was yelling at me. And then she had hit Ryan across the face. And then she did it a few more times. And I told her that if she had kept hitting him, that I was going to call the cops because I did not feel comfortable whatsoever. She looked at me and said, I'll do whatever I want. This is my house. Hit him again. And that's when I had called for the police assistance.
Okay, so you used your cell phone to call the police?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what happened next?
When I was on the phone with the police, she was still yelling at Ryan, and they got it on tape and everything like that. And I had said I need police assistance to this address. And then she had noticed I was on the phone with the cops, and then she had attacked me. And I have pictures here of the bruises from when she grabbed my arm and my wrist.
Is that when your phone was broken?
Yes.
Well, tell me how it got broken, Miss Dickinson.
I was on the phone, and she had grabbed my arm, and then she was fighting with me. I was telling her to let go of me, not to touch me. And then she grabbed the top half of my cell phone and snapped it off and opened her front door and threw it outside in the snow.
Okay. Now I'll see the police report, please.
Okay. I also have pictures of the bruises. Would you like to see them?
Yes.
And there's also pictures of my cell phone. No.
Is this the only police report that you have?
Yes, there was no police report written. It was just a log entry.
Okay. Step up, please. Your first name is Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
How old are you, Ryan?
18.
You're not living in your mother's home anymore, is that right?
Yes.
Who are you living with now?
I'm staying with friends now.
How long has it been since you haven't been getting along with your mother?
As long as I can remember.
When did you ultimately move out of the house?
She kicked me out a couple weeks ago after she got arrested for domestic assault on me.
Why don't you get along with your mother?
Because she's crazy.
I also have the police log from her arrest, if you'd like to see that.
I would. Are you going to school, Ryan?
No, not right now.
You working?
No, not currently.
How are you supporting yourself?
I really haven't been.
Okay. All right, Miss Irwin, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a store manager.
Were you working on the 21st of February?
I was.
What were your hours of employment?
On that particular day, I worked till about 6 p.m.
Did you go directly from the store home?
I did not.
Where did you go?
I went to a friend's house, and then I came home.
What time did you get home?
Approximately 7 to 7:30 p.m.
And you came home and you found your son and his girlfriend watching television?
They were in my living room. My house was a total disaster. Ryan was not allowed to have any guests at my home without my permission, which he continued to do so, and I was quite angry.
Had you ever met this young lady before?
Once or twice, yes.
Where?
One time at my house, and another time she was leaving my house for a few minutes. That was it.
You never had any problem with her?
No, I didn't.
So what happened when you came home on the 21st?
I'd asked Ryan why he had a guest in my home. We'd had many problems in the past with him having company, and I told him he was not allowed to have anybody in my home without my permission. Ryan got very angry at me and started swearing, cursing, calling me several names. He then spit in my face, literally, and I slapped him across the face once. At that point, Jamie had gotten off my sofa and started calling me names that I will not even repeat, and I asked them to leave my house.
That's
they
not
refused.
true.
Yes. She did say, threatened she was going to call the police. I, at that time, told her if indeed she called the police, my son probably would have been arrested because he was on probation.
For what?
Numerous things, assault and battery, disturbing the peace. He was on probation for assault and battery on a police officer.
That's serious stuff.
It had
Ryan?
been serious stuff.
That's serious stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so she called the police.
Yeah, I didn't know she was on the phone. I had just got done telling her if indeed she called the police. There
was a lot of screaming going around, so
Yes, there was.
Everybody was screaming. I want to know how her phone got broken.
She got on the phone with somebody, I'm not sure who, saying that I was abusing my son, which was not true.
That was with the police.
My son had just spit in my face, and I did slap him across the face after he had called me several vulgar names. One time I did slap him across the face. Yes, I did.
I want to know how her phone got broken.
Well, she was on the phone, and I, at that point, once again told her, if you want to make the phone call, go outside. I need you to get out of my house. And she refused to leave, so I took the phone out of her hand. And as far as I know, it was the top part of her cell phone that did snap off. And at that point, I threw it outside to make them leave my house. I'd asked them several times to leave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law?
Nope, never.
He has been.
I understand that.
Set your sights a little higher. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I have a new
Don't say
boyfriend.
anything, Ryan.
And later today,
Buster's a stubborn dog, there's no doubt about it.
I have a very stubborn dog, but she has been very, very well trained.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Dickinson says her ex-boyfriend's mother owes for breaking her cell phone. Bernice Irwin claims Jamie was trespassing on her property.
Okay. There are a couple of things that I don't quite understand, Miss Irwin, and I think that probably you would have been more prudent if when you came home and found Ryan there watching television with his girlfriend, you waited until she left and then confronted him. As far as I've heard, they weren't doing anything untoward. They were sitting and watching television in your living room. So when you came home and started to go off on him in front of his girlfriend, especially a kid that you'd had trouble with and that clearly has a temper, that probably wasn't the most prudent thing to do. And then there was a lot of yelling and screaming. However, Miss Dickinson was an invited guest to your home. She was invited by your son, who lives there, or did then. And whatever argument you were having with your son, and I'm not going to get into slapping him in the face or screaming or yelling or bad names, I'm not getting into that. The only thing that's before me is whether you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. I believe her when she says that she told you she was going to call the police, and I believe you knew she was calling the police because that's what she said she was going to do. And at that time, if you grabbed her by the arm and grabbed her cell phone and snapped it off and then threw it outside, you're responsible to buy her a new cell phone. It seems to me that there was an altercation in your home and it was getting out of hand. It was a good thing that she was calling the police. So why would you be angry? So, how much was the cell phone?
It is $199.99. I have the paper from the website singular.com.
Okay, can I see it, please? And the cell phone. Who is this person?
Carol, a friend of mine.
Was she there that evening?
She wasn't there that evening.
Okay. This is one of these cute little phones that takes pictures?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't take pictures. Okay, that's all you're suing for, the cost of the cell phone. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, that about covers everything.
What do you do for a living, Miss Dickinson?
I babysit, and I used to work at CVS. I had just quit my job, though, because I'm still in high school, and I'm graduating this year, so it was kind of hard doing both.
Have you ever been in trouble with the law?
Nope, never.
He has been.
I understand that.
Lots of times. Set your sights a little higher. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I have a new
Don't say
boyfriend.
anything, Ryan. You've got a little ways to go to get your act together, young man. Somebody who's 18 years old, who's not going to school, who's not working, who's not supporting themselves, who's got an arrest history, according to your mother, that's lengthy, is not going down the right path. The yellow brick road is eluding you, Ryan. You're going to have to find it. Otherwise, you're going to be dead by the time you're 30. That would be a shame, right? Be smart. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $199. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm a little confused about the whole thing, actually. I don't really believe that I broke Jamie's cell phone.
I was not brought up that way. I was brought in a very well-nurtured home where no violence is present.
I did ask her to leave my home along with my son.
Mom overreacts a whole lot.
I'm really hoping that we can be friends yet again, mother and daughter. Mother and son, I'm sorry.
All parties in the matter of Oric versus Galvin. Step forward, please.
18-year-old Justin Oric is suing his former friend, 19-year-old Drew Galvin, for knocking over his Ninja motorcycle. Drew says the bike was parked in the wrong spot.
Mr. Oric, you were at a party, and the defendant was also at a party, and it is your claim that he damaged your motorcycle, which you had driven to the party. Mr. Galvin says that the motorcycle was, in fact, damaged, but it was your fault because you parked it in the wrong place. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me what happened, Mr. Oric.
I got off work about 9 o'clock. I called my friends, and they all said they were over at some girl's house, so I got directions over there. And I pulled up over there.
On your motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of motorcycle is it?
It's a 1997 ZX7R Ninja 750.
Sounds very impressive. How much did you pay for it, sir?
About $3,500.
When did you purchase it?
In August of '05.
Okay.
I parked it, and he was sitting on the back of his car, and he was pretty intoxicated, and he let me know that. And
how did he let you know that?
Well, I shook his hand. He's like, "How's it going?" He's like, I could smell it, and he's like, "I'm pretty drunk," And I was just like, all right, yeah, whatever, that's fine. And I walked into the house because that's where pretty much everyone was. And I was sitting in there talking, and everybody heard this crash. I got up and door. I noticed my motorcycle laying on the ground. He was over there trying to pick it up. Helmet was rolling around in a big puddle of water, and trying to figure out what was going on. He said he was sitting on it, and it fell over on one side. And that he went to pick it up, and it fell over the kickstand onto the other side. And that's the crash that we heard. And I just told him I wanted the money and everything. He was intoxicated, so he got all mad and started trying to fight. He's like, I'll fight you over it right now.
What were you going to fight him over, sir?
I never said that, but that's beside the point.
Why were you so drunk?
Actually, How
old are you?
I'm 19 years old. That's what's so silly about this whole thing.
Just a second.
Okay.
Who do you think is going to be in control of this courtroom, Mr. Galvin, you or me?
You.
Right, so first stand up and take your hands off the table. Very good. You're 19, you can stand on your own 2 feet. That would be perfect. So why would a 19-year-old boy get so drunk? Is there nothing else to do in Arkansas?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, pretty much. There's nothing there. There's cows and, people with nothing to do.
So they drink?
The majority of them, yes.
You drink?
On occasions, yes.
Well, but you were drinking on May 6th.
Yeah, I had a little.
Did you go to school? Do you work? What do you do to
yes,
occupy
ma'am.
yourself?
I work.
You work for whom?
Razorback Car Wash in Bryant for right now, but...
I didn't understand a word you said.
Razorback Car Wash in Bryant.
Razorback Car Wash. Okay, for right now.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, whenever I get back, I'm going to be in the heat and air business. I've already got a job.
Great. And you're going to stay in Benton?
Me and my fiance are trying to figure that out now.
You're 19 and you have a fiance?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have any children, do you?
No, ma'am.
None expected?
No, ma'am. We were pregnant but had a miscarriage.
19 is too young to have any children, sir. You have to find something else to do other than drink and make babies.
Yes, ma'am.
Go to the library. Do they have a library in Benton?
Yes, ma'am, there actually is. I've been there quite a few times.
Have you? How
Yes,
many
ma'am.
times?
I'd say whenever I was in school, about almost every other weekend.
You mean when you stopped going to school, you stopped going to the library?
No, ma'am, I started working a lot.
Well, but you still have time. You had time to get drunk, sir. I would suggest you spend your time in the library. You had time to make a baby, right? You have time to go to the library. There are other things that you can do
Yes, ma'am.
other than drinking and procreating at age 19. You can expand your mind, expand your horizons,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Galvin. Now, you don't really want to tell me that it was the bike's fault that it fell down because it was parked in the wrong place, do you?
Well,
you
sort
really
of.
want to tell me that, Mr. Galvin? You look like such a nice young man.
I have
Misguided, perhaps, but a nice young man.
I have pictures of the spot where my car was and his bike right behind it. Like it is a one-person parking spot. But I was on my way around the car whenever I tripped over it.
Mr. Oric says that when he got to the party, you were sitting outside on your car.
No, actually, I was inside talking to Danielle.
No, you weren't, sir, because you were too drunk to know what in the world you were doing.
Well, I mean, if I was that drunk, how come the cops didn't write me? And in the police report, anywhere, it
Why
doesn't say.
would they do that? You weren't driving.
I told him not to.
Shh. You weren't driving. He didn't want to get you into any trouble. That's not my question. You know how much you were drinking? Well, at least at the beginning you knew how much you were drinking. Did you end up staying at the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I did. My belt was stolen.
Just a second. You ended up staying at the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you sleep?
In the bed with the girl that I was seeing at the time.
This was in May?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it the same girl that you're affianced to now?
No, ma'am. It's not.
So between May of 2006 and now, we have had a new fiancé and an almost baby. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, you paid $3,500 for the bike, according to you, maybe, more than a year ago.
Yes, ma'am.
You want $4,200 to fix it. That's not going to happen. Do you understand?
Can I explain why he
Yeah,
sold
sure.
it? The guy sold it to me for that because he was scared of it. He said he was either going to get put in jail or killed on it. It had always worth of work in it. It's got a crate motor. It's been lowered, you know, custom paint, custom exhaust. It's you know, it's pretty much a show bike. So it's worth more than $3,500 is what I'm trying to say.
Can I see the estimate to fix it, please?
Yes, ma'am. There's 2 parts estimates and 2 paint estimates in there. There's the damage.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Rorick?
I work for AutoZone, but I'm a full-time college student as well.
Where'd you get the money to buy this?
I worked hard for it. Like I had a dirt bike that I sold for it, and you know, it's hard work.
Oh, it's a beauty.
Thanks.
I mean, I wouldn't get on one of these things. I like to have a whole bunch of steel around me.
Yeah.
There are a lot of crazies on the road.
Yeah, there is.
You know, so I like to be in a Sherman tank when I'm on the road. But I know that a lot of people like these things, including my husband, who lusts after one.
Really?
He'll continue to lust after one. All right. Mr. Galvin, where are you going to be next weekend?
At my house?
No. Where are you going to be next weekend?
The
library.
The library, yes, ma'am.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,200. That's all.
Body are excused. You may step out.
Like I said, I tripped over it.
I'm pretty sure it's just an accident.
We're still friends as far as I know. No.
And he assaulted you because he believed that you were messing around with his wife. You want your bills paid, your medical bills, your dental bill. Mr. Podani said he was sort of defending himself because you went after him first. Anna, let's see. You weren't arrested for this assault, sir?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, how do you and the defendant's wife know each other?
I've worked with her for 6 years. She also is a friend.
Tell me when this assault took place.
The assault took place September 16, 2006. It took place at my place of work. Me and Joan went to get something to eat. We returned...
What time?
At 5:30.
After the place closed?
After work, yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I do hair for a living.
So after work, the place closed down and you and the defendant's wife went out for dinner. Is this the first time you did that?
No, I have worked with Joan for 6 years.
So you've gone out for dinner before?
She's been a manager at a business I owned before. So yes, we've gone out to eat before.
Nothing else, just dinner?
Just dinner.
Ever anything else other than just dinner?
No, just dinner.
Went out for dinner, that was about 5:30. What time did you get back?
6:30.
And you, I assume, came back, you went in one car?
Yes, went in my truck.
You were coming back to pick up her car?
Correct.
That's the scene. Tell me what happened.
We pulled up in the parking lot where I work. As I pulled up, I saw that Mike was in the parking lot also.
Had you met him before?
I've known Mike for most of that 6 years also, to the point of actually playing cards and stuff together. Pulled up, I saw Mike starting to walk towards my truck. When he got up next to my truck, I rolled down my window. Mike punched me through my truck window. I then ended up trying to get out of the vehicle. I was unable to get out of the vehicle because he kept shutting the vehicle. So I went over the passenger seat, got out of the vehicle, asked him what was up. His response was that I was messing around with his wife. We told him that we had gone out to eat. I actually had the food container from going out to eat in my vehicle. I gave that to him. Shortly after, the police responded to the scene, asked what...
Who called the police?
I think a witness in the parking lot called the police. They responded fairly fast. They separated all 3 parties.
Everybody shouting at everybody else?
No, it wasn't that. They just separated. There was actually 3 squads that showed up on the scene. They separated Joan, Mike,
Where
and
was
myself.
Joan?
Joan was with me during this time. She was in the passenger seat, so she also had to go out. She was there when the police showed up. The police asked me if I had been assaulted. I said I had. They asked me what I wanted to do about it, if they wanted to charge Mike. I had said no, but I did tell them, at the time I thought I was going to lose a tooth that was already a fake tooth, so I knew it was going to cost me money. So I told him if I lose my tooth, I'd like to have him pay for it. And I also asked the police to let him know not to come around me anymore from that point on. Hindsight, I wish I would have pressed charges at that time. At the time that that happened, I did not, because I knew that that would potentially cause some trouble for their home. Plus, I know that Mike had some potential trouble in the past, and I did not know if that was going to create a bigger problem than what they already had. But since that time, the stitches came out to be the amount that I'm suing for, the $21.29.
How many stitches
I
did
ended
you
up
have to
with
have?
8 stitches in the front and 2 in my mouth.
Where?
Right there. I have a scar from it.
Well, it all started back when I asked my wife if they've been messing around, and she said, no, they haven't. And then she tells me that she's not in love with me anymore. She told me that night that she's working until 6:30. So we were supposed to go out. We had an engagement to go out on a buddy's yacht to go boating. I called her up. She didn't answer the phone. I called her cell phone. She didn't answer that either. I thought maybe she was just cleaning up, so I thought I'd swing out there and help her clean up.
What time was she due home, sir?
6:30.
So you swung out to see if you could help her clean up.
Right. And the place is all locked up, closed up, and her car's sitting out in the parking lot.
What time did you get there?
It must have been about 5:45.
So you waited.
So I waited, and I called her on the phone. Of course, she didn't answer. Next thing you know, they pull up together in his truck. I walked up to angry at what's been going on because I've been accusing her, actually these two, of screwing around for a while now. And I walked up to his truck, and I thought he was going to, since I was mad and angry, I thought he was going to kick the door at me, so I grabbed it, and when he rolled down the window, I punched him. So I'm, defending my family, trying to protect it. And
No, you're not.
I think I was. And now they're together.
Well, but you're not, sir. You're not allowed to do that. Even if they were doing more than just having dinner after work, you're not allowed to put your hands on somebody else.
I know I'm not supposed to hit them, and
So
I know
why
it
did
was
you do
wrong,
it?
but
How many other people have you hit when you got angry?
none.
You've been in trouble with the law before?
Yes.
For what?
Fraud.
Nothing other than fraud?
No.
Is it a long time ago or recently?
A long time ago.
Okay, what kind of work do you do, Mr. Padana?
I do home inspections.
You have children?
Yes, I have 4.
How long are you married?
10 years.
How old are your children?
I have a 9-year-old with Joan, and I have 2 20-year-olds and a 17-year-old.
With your former wife?
Right.
How long you divorced from your former wife?
15 years.
Was it your idea or her idea?
Both.
So you fell out of love with each other.
Right.
You fell out of love with each other.
Right. And then I raised those 3 kids.
Good. I mean, that's nice. But you fell out of love with each other, because
Right.
that happens. You understood that that happens.
Right.
You didn't beat her up, did you, because she fell out of love with
No.
you? She didn't beat you up because you fell out of love with her?
No.
Right?
Never hit a woman.
But it happens.
It happens.
It happens.
It does. It happens.
Happens. She doesn't say that you have the right to hit him.
No, I'm not proud of hitting them, but
Fine, so then you have to take care of his bills. How much were your bills?
The medical bills were $21.29. I had to have the truck cleaned out. That was $175. The clothes I was wearing was $125, and I missed a day's work following the incident, which was $500.
I was told he didn't miss any work.
Whether he missed any work or not, sir, he's not even suing you for pain and suffering, which you should. Absolutely should. You have no right to put your hands on somebody else. He's suing you for $29.29, which is nothing. If he would have sued you for $5,000, I would have given it to him. What?
Since then, I've had to get a restraining order against him because he's actually contacted my ex-wife to find out where I live.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You moved on once? You survived?
Move on again.
How old are you?
41.
41. You're a baby. I got a son 42 years old who's never been married once. You're looking for wife number 3. Tell me your secret.
And later today,
Do you have a gambling problem?
No.
You have a drug problem?
No.
Your aunt says it was about $150,000 that you blew.
people, Judge Judy. Mac McDonald says his friend's estranged husband, Mike Padani, assaulted him in the parking lot at his work.
Mr. McDonald, your complaint alleges that he owes you $29.29. There's no question you're going to get that. I was just gratuitously throwing in that you're entitled to pain and suffering as well. Mr. Padani is lucky that he didn't spend 6 months in jail for assault. I mean, it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Time to move on.
Time to move on.
Yep.
You moved on once. You survived.
Move on again.
You're going to move on again. And believe me, how old are you?
41.
41. You're a baby. I got a son 42 years old who's never been married once. You're looking for wife number 3. Tell me your secret. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,929. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out, sir. Wait here, sir. Out the back door to you, right?
It did feel good. But then, of course, he got out of the truck and hit me.
No, I didn't hit him back.
I apologized to him right after I did hit him.
He's always been very possessive.
Well, they've been kind of messing around for a while now.
The defendant does have an anger issue.
When he was saying that I spoke to his wife, I actually ran into her at a bar, and she was telling me that's why they got divorced, because of those two.
He and his first wife had issues, so I think he just kind of carried it over into...
She woke up one day to a $600 phone bill, run up by her live-in boyfriend, Bernard Golden, a lighting technician from Pasadena.
Order. All rise. All rise, please.
How you doing, Judge? Judge, this is number 10 on the calendar in the matter of McBriar versus Golden. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. Be seated, please. Have a seat.
I've read your papers. Miss McBriar, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about 4 years.
Yes.
During that time, he says he paid all the bills. Is
Yes,
that right?
That's right.
But prior to your separation, which was not a happy one, according to what I've read, she says you ran up a phone bill of about $640.
That's not true.
Well, tell me about it.
Your Honor, I have the phone bills right here. What I do, Your Honor, is every month I am on a fixed income. So every month...
What kind of fixed income?
I am on disability. I am on SSI. Okay, so every month what I do is I call the phone company and I asked one of the reps what is the amount of my phone bill before I even get it, so I'll know how much I'm going to pay out for my phone bill. So on April 17th, I got up and I called the phone company. Bernard was still in the bed, he was asleep. And I asked her the amount of my phone bill, and she told me it was $624.13.
For 1 month?
For 1 month.
Yes.
And so I was speechless. I was speechless, and I automatically just started sweating because I had never had a phone bill that big in my life, you know, and so I couldn't speak to her. I kind of just...
So what happened?
So what happened was I said, well, what made the bill $624? And you know, what made the bill this high? You know, I was actually yelling at her, you know, and so she said, well, you have quite a bit of long-distance phone calls on your bill to Virginia. Most of them are to Virginia, and you have a lot of toll calls.
So she sent you a bill. You ultimately got a bill.
Yes, I did get the bill.
Would you get the bill? Sure. Thank you. So, what happened? You got this bill. He's sleeping.
He's sleeping.
You woke him up, I assume.
Yeah. Yes, I did. No.
I'm curious. How did you wake him up?
Actually, I didn't wake him up. I got off the phone with the rep, and I sat there because I didn't want to go in a rage and yell at him, like, you know, and start this big thing.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so he was coming out the bedroom when I was going to approach him, and it was in the hallway. And so I said, Bernard, I said, why did you run my phone bill up to $624?
Did you say it in that tone?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And so he said, baby, I didn't know I did that. And so I said, well, you did.
What was the phone bill usually on a monthly basis?
Usually on a monthly basis, my phone bill runs me maybe $40, $50 at the most.
Okay. Your financial arrangement with Mr. Golden was that he paid the rent on the apartment?
He paid the rent and the utilities.
Well, the phone is a utility.
Well, the phone was not a utility. No, it was not. Because that was my phone in my name.
So he paid the gas and electric and the rent. And
yes.
What about the food? Who paid the food?
I bought the food.
Sometimes she did. Not all the time. She never bought food. She always claimed with accusations with different bills.
All right, I'm just trying to get some sense of the financial arrangement.
No, excuse me, Your Honor. You know I bought food. Don't you sit up here and lie and tell me I did not buy food.
No,
I
he
bought
didn't.
food every month.
Madam,
Not
look
all
at me.
I'm
Don't
sorry.
yell at him. He said that you bought some food and he bought some food.
Oh.
That's what he said.
Okay.
Huh. But he paid the rent. How much was the rent?
The rent was $650. I mean $550. I'm sorry.
Okay, plus the utilities.
plus utility, lights and gas.
Okay, and your arrangement was whatever the overage was on this phone bill, you were
Yes.
supposed to pay for it.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
All right. She says that you joined the psychic hotline.
No, that's not true.
Did you do that?
No.
Yes, he did. Yes,
No.
he did, Your Honor.
Order.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. I have proof that he joined the psychic hotline.
Let me see it.
No, I did not.
Did you call the psychic hotline?
No, I did not. I
Yes,
don't know
he did.
anything
You
about
never
it. Never did.
Matter of fact,
She has a
that's-
block on her phone for 900 numbers. She has a block on her
Yes,
telephone
now- yes.
for all the calls that you can't
All right.
call long distance
Did you
at
ever see this phone bill, Mr. Golden?
No, no,
Well,
Your
we're
Honor.
going to show it to you. I was curious, Ms. McBriar, about something else that I read in your complaint. Because you said during that morning when you confronted him, look at me, madam.
Yes.
During that morning, you said because you feared what he might do, you called the police on him.
Well, I called the police on him because, see, Bernard has threatened to kill me. He has threatened to kill me. He has done a lot of things. He has a domestic violence record already. And he does not like police. He told me if I ever called the police on him again that he would kill me.
Had he done anything to you before you called the police that day?
That day he hadn't done anything to me, no.
But you were afraid once you confronted him with the
Yes,
phone bill, he
I
was
was
going
afraid for my life.
Could I finish?
Yes,
you can't talk over each other.
I'm sorry, Honor, but
Okay.
I'm upset. I'm very upset.
All right. He said, so you called the police came, you left?
I wasn't home when the police came. I wasn't at there at all.
Had you known that she called the police?
I didn't know who she was calling on. I know she was, she just said, I'm pressing charges, as far as I know, when I was leaving the house.
What were you pressing charges for?
No, excuse me, Your Honor. You know what? He's lying, okay? He's lying.
About what?
Okay, when I called the police, they asked me, like they always do when I call the police, they asked me what was he wearing. When I was describing to them what he was wearing, he took off on his bike out the side gate. Okay. So I wouldn't describe what he was wearing.
That's not true. I was leaving anyway to make a phone call because I didn't want to use her telephone because she was already furious of me about the bill.
You didn't want to use my telephone. You always use my telephone. That's why it's $747 at this
you
time.
very selfish with your phone.
But yes, I'm selfish with my phone because.
Ma'am.
Will you please?
Quiet, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He asked God to destroy me, to not talk on the phone.
Miss McBriar, everybody's got a wish list. That's his wish list.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tamara McBriar wants her ex-boyfriend to pay the $600 phone bill she says he left behind when they split.
Miss McBriar,
Yes.
let me tell you what I don't understand here. Okay?
Yes.
At the start of this case, you told me that each month you called the phone company because you're on this fixed disability income.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
What's the nature of your disability?
Panic attacks.
And how long have you been on
Since
disability?
1989.
You told me that you called the phone company each month so that you could set aside an amount of money
Yes,
for
Your
the
Honor.
phone bill. Now, these phone bills that you've presented me with, so I assumed when you called, this $624 was for 1 month. But that's not true according to these phone bills. You're showing me bills for December, January, February, March, all totaling.
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. I'm not showing
Well,
you.
then-
No, I'm not.
Just a second. Then I have the bills for March,
You have the
which you're talking about, and the bill for March, the total bill. Trying to figure it out.
I have the March bill right here. The
Oh,
March
you didn't
10th.
hand it to me. You didn't hand me the front page of the March bill. Let me see the front page of the March bill, please.
That was never paid. Also, this
Just
was.
shh. Listen to me. I want you to look at these bills, madam. You're telling me that all the phone calls he made that are in question now are the bills for that 1 month, March and April, because you told me that you called each month before that to get your bill.
Yes, I do. Your
Well,
Honor.
then take these back. Take a look at those. Those say December and January.
Okay.
Am I correct? Am I correct?
No, they say April 10th.
No, keep
April
reading.
10th.
Read the phones. Read the dates on the phone calls.
Okay, yes, the dates on the phone call, those were the dates that the phone calls were made.
December, correct?
Yes.
January? Keep going. Keep looking.
I see December, January. Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, so I assume you paid those.
No, I did not pay these.
Well, so I'm not following you. If you didn't pay those and you got those bills in December, January, February, and you didn't pay those bills, then you knew that there was an outstanding balance because your March bill is only $120.97.
Right.
It's $120.97.
Yes. That's money that I had to take and pay for Bernard because, see, when I would ask Bernard to pay the phone bill, he would tell me that he couldn't give me the money at the time because he had to pay the rent. But I would try to explain to him that I have to pay the phone bill because my phone would be disconnected.
Let me tell you what I don't understand. Those bills that I returned to you had a lot of long-distance calls, December, January, a whole bunch of long-distance calls that you have marked off as Bernard's calls.
Exactly.
You, of necessity, had to get those bills in either the end of December or the beginning of January, the beginning of February. What did you do with those bills that you got?
What did you mean what I did with that?
Did Bernard pay them or did you pay them?
I paid them.
He had all those long-distance calls on December and January. Didn't you discuss that with him?
Yes, I did.
Did he pay them?
No, he did not.
Had she discussed them with you?
No, well, the early ones in the past she had, and I gave her $100 before the month before I vacated the apartment. I gave her approximately $100 on the phone bill, contribute towards it, to make for all my calls, local or long distance. And that's when when she told me about the new bill, was the bill had not came yet after I gave her $100 for the first bill. That new bill came after I have gone and left the apartment, vacated.
Well,
Your Honor.
You see, this new bill for $661 doesn't list the phone calls on it.
Well, you asked me for the whole bill.
I understand that, but it's very hard for me to follow, Miss McBriar, because on the last bill, it doesn't list the phone calls. How is he supposed to know which phone calls he made?
It doesn't list the phone calls because those are the phone. Okay, that $661 is including. It hasn't been paid yet because I can't pay it. I don't have the money because they're Bernard's calls. I mean, I want my money for my phone bill. Your Honor, listen to me, please.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Please listen to me.
I'm trying.
This man, this man here is lying to you.
No, listen, Miss McBriar, look at this. I want you to look at your March 10th statement. Okay? Look at your March 10th statement. How much does it say is owed on the March 10th statement?
$120.97.
All right. So as of March 1997, you owed $120.
Yes.
Just a minute. Okay. Where is the April bill?
I have the April bill.
Tell me what is owed. And just a second, when did you move out?
I moved out possibly on the, let's see, what was it? It was, what was it, date? That's about March.
No.
What date did he move out,
He
madam?
moved out April 17th.
I knew she'd remember. Women always remember those things. Then forget. He moved out on April 17th?
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
All right. Now, so your March bill was $120.
Yes.
Now let me see the April bill.
Okay. April, here we are. Let me get it together here. Okay, this is the April bill.
Let me see it, please, with all the calls on it.
Let me make sure I got them together for you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I'm not going to let anyone run my phone bill up to $640 and not pay it. That's just not me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bernard Golden says he shouldn't have to pay a $600 phone bill because he supported Tamara McBriar for 4 years when they were living together.
Oh, you see, I see what happened, Mr. Golden. Now I got it. You made a lot of third-party calls. Because evidently the third-party calls that you made, whoever it was said, I'm not accepting these calls, so they put it all back on her bill in April. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Yeah, I knew I'd get it. I knew I'd get it. I knew I'd get it. Because our April bill, sir, reflects the fact that all of these phone calls were made in December. Called from Pasadena to Washington, Sacramento, Hampton, Monterey. You know what people in those areas, sir? What were you doing, making third-party calls? Listen to me. Were you making third-party calls?
Making third-party calls? Yes.
That's what I said.
I was making collect calls.
Well, evidently, whoever initially took the collect call, sir, decided against it. Would you show him these numbers, please? Now, Mr. Golden, you say in your answer that this is all a conspiracy, sir, because she's got a new boyfriend. She wanted you out of the house.
Yes, true.
That's true.
That's 100% true. Yes. Yes, plus what happened was with conspiracy is that she's been talking to her ex-lover for a long time since she's been with me. He's been using up his dad's credit card and showering her down with gifts from the body shops, spending Christmas gifts.
Mr. Golden, did you join the psychic hotline?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
No, ma'am, I did not.
Take a look at those. Take a look at those.
I don't know
bills.
how that got on his bill because she has a block.
Okay, take a look at those calls, sir. Those numbers have a familiar ring.
Some of them do.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them, not all.
Your Honor,
Not
can
all.
I please show you some evidence?
I have just one quick question for you, Mr. Golden. How do you know her phone is blocked for
Because
that?
she told me. Because I made long-distance calls straight from the house, and she
Yeah.
put a block on it
While you were together.
while we were together.
A vote of
And I
confidence
paid for
for
them.
you. Yes.
And I paid for the
All right.
calls.
Give me those phone calls. Now I understand what happened. Or you wanted to show me some evidence before I make a decision in this
Yes,
case?
yes, Your
Okay.
Honor, please.
I'll take the bill back. Yeah. What?
You really need to go over this. You need to look at this. And you really need to look at this.
Got to get ready for this.
You need to look at this. You need to look at this. And you really need to look at these.
And you can read one of them prayers for me too, Your Honor.
These are prayers, sir?
There's a prayer. My special prayer I'm praying to
his
Jehovah
special
Adonai.
prayers to
My
whoever.
father.
No, it's
When
not
she
your
was
father.
Just a second. What is? How is this relevant to the phone bill?
Just go ahead.
I don't want to read them all, please. I don't have time. I've got a lot of other work to do
They're
today.
relevant to the phone bill because he asked God to destroy me, to not talk on the phone, to and get rid of my girlfriends and destroy me, rebuke me.
That's because
Listen to me, Miss McBride. Everybody's got a wish list. That's his wish list.
Oh, my God. Well, his
What
wish
is
list
this?
is terrible.
Those-
His wish list is
Order.
What is
terrible.
this? What is
It's
this?
terrible. Look at that. Look at where he's from. Look at
That's
that.
my birth certificate.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know she
Oh,
had that.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Because that's where you call. That's where you call.
Oh, you mean you're just showing this to me to
Yes.
show that he calls Virginia?
Yes.
He doesn't deny that he made all those calls. He can't look me straight in the eye, square in the eye, and tell me that he didn't make those calls. He did
Right.
make the calls.
Look at that. He said he cut. Look at that. That was me. That was me. That was me. He cut my face out and said he placed it under the Virgin Mary to keep us together.
You know how many wedding albums I've seen with just that sort of thing done in them?
We don't have a wedding album. We're not even married.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right, listen to me. You owe her the money, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You can't
Yes, ma'am.
leave her with this phone bill.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that your relationship didn't work out, but it didn't. You
See,
can't
but-
make all these phone calls. They didn't come to her
See, you-
until after you had vacated the premises.
See, Your Honor,
Yes.
I don't think it's fair for me to pay the bill because the reason why I said this because I supported her for 4 years. Plus, she's when she was not on disability, she was not taking her medication. I was the one who had to be there by her bedside, take her to the hospital when she had a panic attack from a chemical imbalance.
Excuse me, Your
Listen
Honor.
to me, Mr. Golden. Your arrangement was that you paid your long-distance phone bills while you were living there. Is that right?
True.
That was your arrangement?
Yes.
Because you moved out doesn't mean that arrangement ceases. You have to pay her the money. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $640. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out, please.
And on the next Judge Judy.
I still feel that she still cares about me in so many ways, but I have to move on.
I care about him. I was with him for 4 years. He was very nice to me. He has a good heart. But as far as my phone bill, I'm not going to let anyone run my phone bill up to $640 and not pay it. That's just not me. And I think I was pretty fair about the situation. I didn't make any false accusations against him, and I was fair. I was fair. I was fair, you know. Yes, I do still have feelings for him, but I have to go on about my life because we can't live together.
Promised her 6 acting roles in movies that were never made.
Order, all rise.
Judge, number 4 on the calendar in the matter of Ireland versus Sin City. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
All right. This is an action for breach of contract, as I understand it. Miss Ireland, do you say that you signed a contract with the defendant's company to appear in 6 videos or 6 movies? Excuse me. To appear in 6 videos over a 6-month period, and you did not appear in those videos, you want to be fully compensated for that
That is
contract.
correct, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
For the most part, yes. That was a minimum of 6 videos that I signed for. I signed an exclusive contract with Sin City Entertainment, which kept me from making movies with any other company. And when I received no compensation for being exclusive with this company, and they put me in no movies of any kind, let alone the minimum 6 required for the contract, I have been forced to take this kind of proceedings.
May I see the contract, please?
Yes.
Who prepared this contract?
Mickey Blank's.
Is that you, sir?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm sorry. His secretary, I believe.
Is this your standard contract?
No.
Why not?
Well,
The reason I'm asking you this, well, your name is Blanks?
Blank, B-L-A-N-K, Blank.
Mr. Blank?
Yes.
The reason I'm asking you that question is, this is the most inartfully drafted contract that I've ever read. Now, so why wasn't she given your standard contract?
Okay, we don't have a standard contract. What that instrument is an agreement between an artist and our company.
Well, an agreement is a contract.
You could use the word contract, yes.
Of course.
Okay. We don't feel it's a formal contract as such. What this does, it benefits both the artist and our company by pulling our efforts together.
Your Honor, if I may, I'd like to point out that there was 2 other girls that were put under contract at the same time as I, and they have identical contracts to these.
This doesn't say it's an exclusive contract.
In the first line where I've highlighted, I believe it does say it's an exclusive contract between Sin City and myself.
Well, but that word is unclear. I mean, that is an unclear, I don't know what an exclusive legal and binding agreement.
It binds me from being able to work for any other companies. So for basically for that 6-month minimum period, I was not allowed to do any work for other companies.
No, no.
What was your understanding?
At no point did we ever stop Kylie from working with anybody. My understanding of this agreement, okay, is as such. Sin City is a very top-of-the-line company in the adult entertainment field. We put out roughly 6 to 8 features a month. And the purpose of this contract was twofold. It benefited us and it benefited Kylie as well.
Why didn't you use her services?
What transpired, and if I give you a little bit more background on the situation, Kylie is an adult entertainer. She's one of the top entertainers in the industry, and she does very, very well. I'm sure the lion's share of her income is not generated by making adult videos. I'm sure that's through dance tours and all the other type of work that she does.
Is that true?
To an extent, yes, Your Honor, that is true. The reason he's going to tell you next that I went out on tour, and the reason that I went out on a dance tour is because they had no plans of using me in any movies and were not giving me my contracted money per month as they should have been. So I was forced to go out on tour to dance to make some income.
Well, they don't guarantee you to pay $1,000 a month.
They guaranteed that they would put me in one movie, which would contain at least a minimum of one scene, which would pay me a minimum of $1,000 per month.
But they could, for instance, have given you 4 movies in 1 month. Would that
And then they would have had to pay me more.
This is a very poorly written contract. Do you have a lawyer?
Yes, I do.
Did your lawyer read over this contract?
Yes, he did.
Before you signed it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Yes, he did.
And advised you to sign it?
He said that it was a legal and binding agreement, being not very official looking or not, it still bound me to exclusive contract work with this company, and that I should honor it if I was going to choose to enter into it.
Anyway, I'm going to let you finish, and then I'm come back to you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, basically, what I'm trying to bring out is our industry is very unique to itself. Okay, Kylie will, I'm sure, makes the lion's share of her income, not through making videos, but through her touring and her fan clubs and all the other type of work that she does. What the video does is keep her out in front of the public, okay, and working for Sin City, which is a very prestigious company. It adds that much more credibility to who she is and what she does. Kylie is at the top of the industry and dealing with a top company. At the time, it created a bunch of hoopla. She benefited greatly from the publicity. Right when she signed, we had a very large party honoring one of our movies, and we invited everyone from all over the world, all the press and everyone. And even though the party was honoring this movie, Kylie and some of the other girls who were under contract with us, were under this agreement with us, benefited greatly by it. Her picture was all over the magazines in this country.
So why didn't you use her?
What happened was, roughly about a month after the contract was signed, we had a trade show. And at that point, our company took a change of direction, and they put a new person in charge of production. And he's no longer there, by the way, but he was going off in a different step. We would have liked to use Kylie, but Kylie had obligations to dance and what have you.
Just a minute. About a month afterwards, you had a change of direction. What does
Right.
that mean? Explain that to me.
We had a change of personnel. We hired a fellow named Ed Powers, who's very big in this industry, to do our productions. And Ed was going to take the company in basically a little bit different direction. Okay. However,
Why? You keep saying that. What kind of different direction?
well, at the time we were doing a lot of features that were meant for Playboy and Spice Channel. Ed wanted to do stuff that was more reality-based type features, but we still would utilize Kylie if the conditions were correct. Kylie was.
What conditions?
If she was available, if it was there to be had. When I say if it was there to be had, no, if we lost communication for a period of a couple months, and it's not our job to hunt people down if they don't communicate. You know, if they're not there on us.
Well, do you have a phone number for her?
Yes.
Did you call her and say you have to come back? We have a film for you to do?
Not personally, no.
Did anybody that affiliated with you that you know of contact
I'm
her
not
within the
aware of
first
that.
month, second month, third month?
I'm sure there was some correspondence, but I'm not aware. I couldn't give you specific dates.
Did you
or
have
times.
any correspondence with them a month afterwards, 2 months afterwards, 3 months afterwards?
I called Mickey, I called several other people at Sin City Entertainment, trying to see when we were going to shoot a movie, when we were going to do some more projects together. I was anxious. Like Mickey had said, we'd done a lot of promotion. We had been pushing the fact that we were now working together, Sin City and Kylie, Ireland, and we were going to make big projects, and we'd done all this hoopla, and nothing was coming out of it.
Later on Judge Judy.
Adult film stars are not complete and total bimbos, that a lot of us do treat this very professionally and that it is a business, and although we may be having a lot of fun doing it, take us seriously.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Adult movie star Kylie Ireland claims producer Mickey Blank and his production company reneged on a deal to star her in 6 movies.
I kept calling and calling. If Mickey is trying to say that he had a hard time reaching me, that is physically impossible because I carry on my person all the time a 800 paging system. So Sin City can call me toll free. It reaches anywhere in the United States, and it can get me at any time of the day. He also had my current home phone numbers as well as my cell phone numbers, so I was totally reachable. And one other thing I did do, and I still do this for my current company, I'm signed with a different company right now, VCA Pictures, is I make a schedule and I fax it to my employers each month, which lets them know when I'm scheduled to be dancing at this place or doing this bookstore
Did you
signing.
fax that to their company?
I have faxed copies of it to Mickey Blank, to Gigi
that
Appleton,
correct?
and to Mark.
We received one calendar that I'm aware of, and you were booked for the entire month.
I always send them in groups of 3 to 4, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I was only aware, and I was there at the time. I only received one for 1 month, and you were booked for
How
the
many
month.
times did you have feature films during this 6-month agreement that you wanted to use her in?
Well, good question. Right after that time, I was changed to a different position.
So the answer is you don't know.
The answer is I don't know.
Well, she says that you only, according to her, contacted her once. And that was towards the end of the 6-month period. So she's giving you that. Now, why didn't you do that film?
Because they gave me 1 day's notice, Your Honor.
Do you know about that, sir?
Yes, I didn't know it was 1 day's notice, but I do know that there was some correspondence, and Kylie expressed that she was upset with the situation. So we kind of said, well, we have work for you. Would you like to do this?
Tomorrow.
I don't think it was 1 day.
In the contract, Your Honor, it states that I'm supposed to be offered first choice of the pick of the best of the movies, and they never called me, and I feel that them calling me 1 day before the project was to be shot is not only very unprofessional, even in the adult industry, but it was, well, shocking for one, but I think I was a replacement more than given the first choice.
Let me ask you this, sir. What I'm hearing is that shortly after you signed the plaintiff to this agreement, and it is loosely written, it is a contract, and it says you're going to use her 6 months with an option really for another 6 months. You'll come back after 6 months, but for that 6-month period, she was supposed to work 6 films.
Right.
And I gather from what you're telling me, shortly after you signed this contract with her, your company hired and then took on a different direction from being films that were made for like Playboy Channel. You were going into reality. Do you know what that? I'm not going to go into that.
Right. Well, reality-based.
This is a family court.
Right.
Reality.
Right.
And then that person, for what is no longer with your company. Is that right?
That's correct.
So that for that 6-month period, am I to assume that Sin City Productions was sort of in a state of flux?
Not exactly. When I say we took a different course, we still made features. We still had films we were putting out each month that we could have possibly utilized Kylie in.
Well, then why didn't you?
What transpired was we lost the communication.
Well, but you don't know that, sir. You can't tell me. She sounds like a... Listen, she may be the star of adult films. Sounds to me she's the star of adult films who has a very organized business sense.
Yes, she does.
Right?
Thank you.
This to her is a business.
Absolutely.
She's got an 800-pager so people can reach her all the time. She faxes, and I believe her when she says that. She faxes her schedule to the production company so that you know where she is at all times. So she's not some airhead.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We make it sound like Sin City wouldn't have benefited anything from having me under contract, though, and that amuses me.
Oh, don't
my
get me wrong.
movies sell very well, and you guys have made a lot of money.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Filmmaker Mickey Blank says he couldn't honor a deal to star actress Kylie Ireland in 6 sex films because he couldn't find her.
If you were making feature films, is it because this new person that you had decided that he didn't want to use this particular talent, that he wanted to use some other kinds of talents to make these reality movies?
Well, yes and no.
Well, even if it's partially yes, you're stuck.
Okay, well, let me clarify what I'm saying, okay?
Okay.
First of all, I do agree with you. Kylie is not an airhead by any means whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
She's highly successful, and she's at the top of her field, and deservedly so. But we feel it's not our job to track a star down. We make an agreement to make movies, okay?
Weren't you supposed to check in with you every day?
No, let me finish my sentence, please.
Yeah.
Often I did.
Okay. Well, what we do is, okay, one schedule I did receive, okay, was booked for the month. Okay, the following month, I can't say firsthand that I saw any kind of schedule fax whatsoever. To my knowledge, it wasn't, because I did have communication with the fellow that was in charge of production.
Well, if you had communication with the person who was in charge of production, I'm going to let you offer this one piece of hearsay, sir. How many times, and I think you're an honest person, how many times were you told that they tried to reach the plaintiff to do a film and could not?
I don't have an answer for that.
That's the issue. It would seem to me, and I'm a lay person, this is not my industry, this industry or theatrical industry, but it just seems from a common sense perspective, I am a producer. I have a film that I want to produce. I have a talent that I want to utilize. I pick up the phone and I call that talent, either at a home or at a 1-800 number that she has so she can be beeped all over the place, and I say, I have a film that I want you to do next week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, right? It would seem to me that the talent doesn't call you periodically because she might miss an opportunity. If the responsibility was hers and she, for instance, called you every 2 weeks, well, it was the odd week that the opportunity arose, and you're suggesting that she is to be penalized for that. No. It's the person who is producing these films who picks up the phone and says, I got a film, want you to do it, can you do it? And you can't tell me that anybody called her and said that, with the exception of this one time, the end of the contract. Am I correct?
Well, not since the beginning of the contract, also.
Well, I believe her.
Can I read you something?
Sure.
I brought along some of the magazines that covered the whole signing of the contract girls to Sin City. Most of them are AVN Magazine, the Adult Video News.
No, you don't have to read them to me. I have one question for you. Don't read them to me.
Are you
As
sure?
a matter of fact, I'm absolutely positive.
Okay.
Because they're really not relevant to this contract. I mean, I understand.
There's just a quote in there from Mickey Blank that I think you would find quite amusing.
Well, what does he say? All right. Just one quote. One quote. I'm always pleased to be amused.
It's called Ashley and Ireland Take Up Residence in Sin City. Mickey Blank, the general manager and self-described honcho of Sin City, couldn't be happier. In a move which he calls both fortuitous and a reflection of our new, more upscale image, the company has signed super starlets Caitlin Ashley and Kylie Ireland to exclusive one-year contracts. We're very fortunate to have two of today's biggest stars working for us, says Blank. The girls were looking to sign exclusive deals, and we were looking to do the same. The timing was just right for everyone.
So why do you think you weren't called?
Your Honor, I really have no idea. That's why I'm standing here today.
Was the other gal who signed this kind of contract used during that 6-month period?
Neither of the other two girls were used, and one of the girls did take the case to court, and right as she says, as she was walking out the door, Sin City called her up and called her to the offices to go make a deal. The other girl just blew it off, which is what many girls in our industry do, which is very upsetting to me, and which is why I'm actually taking the steps to stand up for the little people, I guess you could say.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Blank, I understand that what happened to you was a change in company direction. Whether you had control over that direction, I'm not sure, but it's your company, so you're the one who's got the deep pockets. It seems clear to me that you did not comply with the terms of the agreement that you made with the plaintiff, with the possible exception of that one final film, because it doesn't say that you'd be given a certain amount of notice. However, your contract provides for 6 films over a 6-month period, which is $6,000. The limit of this court is $5,000. So even if we deduct the $1,000 for that one particular film that was offered to you and you rejected, that brings you down to $5,000, which is really what you're suing for. I believe you're entitled to that under this breach of contract, and I'm awarding $5,000 to the plaintiff. Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Parties
Honor.
are excused. You may step out. Back door to your right, please.
And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, of course, I'm extremely happy, and I feel like even though this is just me, one small adult film star, I have made a step toward making right what so many adult producers and directors and companies have done wrong to the girls for so long. And I'm very happy that she has seen things my way and that has awarded me.
Well, I'm a little disappointed because I feel Kylie greatly benefited through publicity and many benefits when we signed the contract. And as I stated in court, you know, her income is not determined by the videos she does, it's by her dancing, her fan clubs, all the other work that she does. And it's quite standard that these things don't hold up according to the way they are. And I'm just a little disappointed the judge couldn't see our way. If you look at it, anything, there's never 100% one way or the other. There's a lot of gray matter in between. And I think that gray area is where this case should have landed.
You
I'm kind
really
of
make it
disappointed.
sound like Sin City wouldn't have benefited anything from having me under contract, though, and that amuses me.
Oh, don't
my
get me wrong.
movies sell very well, and you guys have made a
Kylie,
lot of money. So.
I put you under contract personally because I know you're a benefit. You're a top star. We think you're excellent. However, I think that we have a lot to offer you as well. And
It's too bad that it didn't work out that way. I do want everyone to realize that adult film stars are not complete and total bimbos, that a lot of us do treat this very professionally and that it is a business. And although we may be having a lot of fun doing it, take us seriously. I'm glad that after a whole year we have finally managed to muck through this whole situation and finally get things settled, and I hope there's no hard feelings.
I wish you lots of luck.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure doing it. It's a business doing pleasure.
Yeah. 44-year-old massage therapist Christy Nelson is suing boyfriend Oliver Thies for assault and property damage. He claims he left Christy because she was too intimate with one of her massage clients.
Order, all rise. Now, this is case number 72 on the calendar in the matter of Nelson versus Thies. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Nelson, I always get nervous when I see somebody bringing in their papers and shopping bags.
Well, I just had to bring in my evidence of my broken stuff.
According to this complaint, listen, according to this complaint, you met this past New Year's Eve at a party. And you moved in the next day to her house?
About 3 days later.
So you were sure that this was going to be it?
Looked pretty good at the time.
And, Miss Nelson, you allege in your complaint that things went from bad to worse.
Yes.
That you lent Mr. Thies a lot of money.
Yes, I did.
And that he became jealous, obsessive.
Yes.
Destroyed all your property in a fit of rage. You want $5,000.
Yes.
He says that nothing could be farther from the truth. You destroyed your own property when you were in a fit of rage, and he wants money from you, including his moving costs.
Okay.
So far, is that the case?
Yes.
So, let's hear your side of the story.
Okay, well, basically, he moved in with me, and everything was good in the beginning, but I do massage for a living. I'm a masseuse, and he started accusing me of sleeping with my clients when I went over there, and so that caused a lot of problems in our relationship, and I said, that's far from the truth. I invited him to go with me on my massages to these people's houses, and he went with me and saw nothing was going on, and still accused me of that, and so things got worse. He started physically hitting me, hit me in the chest when I was in the car once and pulled me forward and demanded my money. And so, of course, I gave it to him. I was scared. And he
demanded what money?
Money
true,
out of my
Judge.
pocket. Yes, it is.
Just a second. Just a second. I'll get to you.
And so that was just one incident. He's also given me a bloody nose. He's hit me upside the head.
So when did you decide that you had had enough, madam? I mean,
well,
when,
I needed a few
you
more
know,
abuses.
to me, if somebody is thinking about putting his hands on me, that's enough to throw his behind out the front door.
I always thought that too until I was in a situation. I thought I was madly in love with him, and I thought that things
How could
would
you
get
be
better.
madly in love with somebody who
Well, because
beats
he's
you?
very charming.
There's nothing charming about giving you a bloody nose.
Yeah, that's true. But, and then he went through
There's no buts there.
Rages, yes, it's true. And destroyed my property. He destroyed my camcorder, $1,000. I haven't even finished paying this yet.
How did he destroy your camcorder?
Some sort of tool. He stabbed into it and then busted into a million pieces. He found a phone bill of mine.
Not true.
I had my cell phone that he destroyed.
And so tell me how that happened.
He was saying, you were calling all these guys on your phone, or I see it on your phone bill. I called all these people, and you're cheating on me and all this stuff.
It's not true, Judge.
I haven't heard about the loans that you made to him. You said you made a
loan?
loan.
Yes. I gave him, I have a receipt here from the real estate guy saying that I did give $1,000 for the down payment on a house or to hold it. And if it didn't go through, that I would get the money back. But I didn't get the money back. He took it. And he says it right here on this piece of paper right here. I also have...
Can I see it, please?
It's not true, Judge. I never said
I
anything on
have
a piece of paper.
Just a second.
Oh, you did too.
Hey, can I see it, please?
Yes, and then there's checks right there of what he owes me for things I bought him for his window washing service and for the DMV that I paid for his car insurance.
Okay. All right. Now, let's see your side of the story, and then we'll get to this money.
Yeah, it's like you said. We met on New Year's Eve, and we thought things were going to be, you know, nice. It was going to be a nice relationship. At least that's how I thought it was going. And, you know, she decided that she was going to be doing massage, telling me how she just does legitimate massage. Now, we moved into an apartment complex called the Marina Harbor Apartments, and where this apartment was located was right next to a laundry room. So I could be in the laundry room and actually look into the living room and see everything that was going on. And she wasn't just giving massages. So, you know,
That's
I told her I wasn't going to hang out with her anymore.
How do you know that?
Because I saw it for myself with my eyes.
You're telling me that she was being indiscreet in your own home, with you home?
Yeah, as I was. Yeah, she's just telling me she was doing an in-call massage, and it wasn't a massage. And she just completely humiliates me constantly.
Well, let me ask you this question. So when did you see that?
This was back in April.
When did you separate?
Mother's Day.
I tried to separate from her that day, and she came running after me, telling me how, you know, she was sorry and this and that, and she just needed to make some money because that's how she makes a living, and she's been making a living like that for 4 years. She's been arrested twice for that kind of a charge. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Have you been arrested twice?
I have been arrested, but I have not been convicted of anything.
And
what were you arrested for?
Prostitution.
Go ahead.
So anyways, you know, at that point, our relationship kind of fizzled out, and she took it into her own hands to try to keep me around any way she knew possible, and I actually tried to stick it out for a while, and then I just got fed up and I left, because she continued to see this Taiwanese guy from Taiwan, and she just wouldn't let it go, you know? And, you know, I've talked to this guy, I've confronted him, and he's a complete weirdo, you know, and he knows that we're boy and girlfriend at the time, and he just won't stop. And she's all into this guy. And I just got fed up. I left. In her fits of rage, she would throw things at me, and I don't know. She's trying to get money out of anybody and everything that she can. And she's trying to get money out of me.
Let me ask you this question, sir. Something that you said to me doesn't make sense, and I really don't understand it.
Mm.
If I saw somebody that I was in love with, living with, having sex, which is, I assume, what you're talking about.
Yeah, it is.
With somebody in my house, I wouldn't stick around.
I didn't. I left.
No, you didn't. You came back. You said she told you to come back, and you came back.
Well, when you live with somebody, you create, you know, emotional bonding, and I had some real strong feelings for her. You know, so you can overlook a lot of things when you have emotional feelings for somebody. So that's what I did. And I know I was very deeply hurt, you know, and I'm still very deeply hurt. And
well,
that's why we're
there are
not
a couple of
together now.
lessons in that, sir. One of the lessons is you don't meet somebody on January 1st and move in with them on January 3rd. That's very dumb.
Yeah, this is L.A.
That's
though.
very dumb. Yes. This is L.A. This is still part of the universe the last time I heard.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You forget that I'm 12 weeks pregnant with your baby, okay?
Well, it
now,
could be the Taiwanese
no,
guy's
I'm not
child.
having sex with Taiwanese, all right?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Oliver Thies denies he damaged any of his girlfriend, Christy Nelson's property, or that he assaulted her. He claims Christy owes him for emotional stress during their relationship.
Not everybody who lives in L.A. are cretins. They're mostly very smart people. Most people who live in L.A. do not meet somebody on the 1st and move in with them and set up housekeeping on the 3rd, find out, according to you, that the person to whom they've given their heart is a prostitute, right? And then stick around.
Well, I didn't find out she was an actual prostitute till about 5 months later.
That's not true.
When she actually told me she was arrested and her past life, and that's when I found out, and that's when I was out for good.
Did you ever take any money from her?
No, I never did.
You took $1,000 from her to put down as a down payment on a house. What do you
well,
mean? That's a well is not an answer, sir. Make sure I get everything truthfully from you. Did you take $1,000 from her?
She did give me $1,000.
Just a minute, now we're getting to it. She did give you $1,000.
But I've given it back to her.
Well, let me, how?
Just cash. Give it back to her cash.
When?
That day, as a matter of fact. Because I already had enough in my bank account to cover that.
Well, why would you let her give the $1,000 in cash if you gave it back to her the same day?
Well, why would she want to give $1,000 up anyways?
Because we were getting a house together.
Is that an answer?
Well, we didn't get a house together, so I gave her back her money.
This was a very bad idea for the two of you. This was a very bad idea for the two of you.
Anyways,
Here, give this back.
I am now,
I have no IOUs with her. If she has anything that says I owe her anything,
Well, you know what, Oliver?
then she can show
you
that
forget
right
that
now. But
I'm 12 weeks pregnant with your baby, okay?
Well, it
now,
could
what are we
be the
gonna do
Taiwanese
no,
guy's
I'm not
child.
having sex with Taiwanese, all right?
Miss Nelson, Miss Nelson, listen to me. You're not going to resolve the fact that you are pregnant and the parentage of that child until the child is born. Do you know
Right,
that? You
fine.
understand that?
Yes.
See, now she's just trying to get money out of me any way she can, because she's trying.
I also have
She
a
knows
tape
she
here,
has a kid
him
coming.
admitting that it's his baby. And him giving me threatening messages that he's going to bust my face into a million pieces if I don't get an abortion.
Listen to me. What does that have to do with the price of tomatoes?
Well, that just has to do with how violent he really is. It's his nature. And he did destroy all my property.
Did you destroy any of her property, sir?
No, I didn't.
How did the property get destroyed? All that
I
stuff.
have no idea. Probably the Taiwanese guy, when he got mad, he found out she was trying to keep it a secret that I was her boyfriend with this guy. Okay, guess who she's living with now? Ask her. Taiwanese.
That would be
He's a
interesting.
midget.
Miss Nelson.
Oh, you are
He goes to
Miss
USC.
Nelson, sounds to me as if the two of you made some very serious mistakes, and quite frankly, neither of you has record sufficient to demonstrate to me whether he owes you money for loans. He says he paid for your car. You have any proof of that, sir?
Of
That you paid for her car. That's one of the things that you're
I just gave her
cross-claiming
cash
for.
all the time.
So you have no proof.
It was good faith, and we were getting along back
Listen.
then when I did give her money.
I can't rely on your good faith because neither of you has too much upstairs. It's the truth.
Judge Judy will continue. And later today,
You're unlucky that you don't like women. I'm sorry for you. And it's your loss, Eddie, that you've lost all your children, all right?
Oh, really?
You don't have
Okay.
another chance.
Okay.
You're
See
too
ya.
old.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Oliver Thies denies he damaged any of his girlfriend Christy Nelson's property or that he assaulted her. He claims Christy owes him for emotional stress during their relationship.
When I read these papers initially, I said, oh, he's probably pretty nutty, living with somebody who he says he saw having sex with somebody in his house. But if you've been arrested twice for prostitution, maybe there's a possibility
Once.
that he's...
And that was 5 years ago. For dancing.
She can't even get her
It was
story
not
straight.
convicted.
It's a little
In
obvious.
any event,
Up, Oliver.
you also want $1,100 for moving.
Yes, I had to get a new apartment. I had first and last month's rent, and it left me with less money than I had. Okay, and I needed a place immediately.
You don't really expect me to give you any money for that, do you, from her? You don't really expect me to do that, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yes.
Dream on, sir. Listen, very rarely do I hear a case where I feel as if both people in a relationship such as yours sort of deserve each other. That's the way I feel in this case. You started out dumb, you ended up dumb, probably both a little poorer. Your complaint is dismissed, your countersuit is dismissed. Go and have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have a restraining order on him. I want him to stay away because he does harass me. He's punched my friends out, and that's a problem. You know, he's got a really bad temper. I mean, and I still care about him very much.
I saw a short Taiwanese man in there.
Party's on. Razzo versus Winkler. Step forward, please.
After 18 years paying only $75 a month child support, 45-year-old construction worker Ed Razzo is suing his ex-wife, Pamela Winkler, for overpayment.
Mr. Razzo, Miss Winkler is the mother of your son, who is now 18 years old?
19.
19?
19.
And you are suing her for $3,000, almost $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
I've read your complaint. I would like you to tell me why you're suing her for $3,000.
Well, I figure she owes it to me.
Oh, let's go back so that we have the story from the beginning. You had a child together.
Right.
You were never married.
No.
And you were under a court order to pay support.
Yes, ma'am.
Child never lived with you, I assume.
No.
How long had you been under a support order?
For 18 years.
And what was the support order?
$75 per month.
$75 per month. Is that what it always was, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
She never took you back for increased support.
No.
So then there came a time when the child turned 18.
Yes, ma'am.
Start from there. So what did you do?
I felt that my obligation for child support was up, so I did not pay after his 18th birthday, and he had graduated supposedly.
From high school?
From high school.
Mm-hmm.
And a month later, I got a letter, a late notice, saying that I was still to pay.
Okay.
So
From the court?
From the court.
Not from her?
Not from her, from the court.
So what did you do?
So I continued to pay after this month, and they said if I didn't pay, they would yank my license.
Your driver's license?
My driver's license.
Okay.
So I continued to pay.
Okay.
And meantime, they did yank my license, come to find out.
So then what happened?
So I paid up, and then I had got pulled over for making an illegal turn, and they impounded my car for 30 days.
They, the police?
The police.
You paid, according to you, an extra 6 months.
Right.
Is that right? Altogether?
Altogether.
After the child reached 18.
Right.
And this was because you were told to do that by the state.
Yes.
Now, I'd like you to tell me, so 6 months times 75 is what
Yes,
you
ma'am.
say you overpaid.
Right.
That's $450.
Right.
So now would you please tell me why you're suing her for $3,000?
Okay. Well, the impound fees, which was close to $500, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and missing work for a month, not having my vehicle.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
Construction.
And how much do you make a month?
I usually make $500-600 a month.
$500 to $600 a month?
$500 to $600 a week. Excuse me.
$500 to $600 a week.
Week.
So you make at least $2,000 a month.
Right.
What I'd like to know is how you got away with paying $75 a month child support for 18 years.
You would have to ask her. She never went in to boost the child support, I guess.
People who are on the minimum wage maybe pay $75 a month in child support. Someone like you doesn't pay $75 a month in child support. You were given a gift for 18 years. Did you ever hear the word chutzpah?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
I'm going to tell you what it means. Do you know what chutzpah means, Bird? Chutzpah means gall. You got a lot of gall suing her for anything.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
I know you haven't opened your mouth. It's not necessary. Thank you. If the state of California made a mistake, and as a result of that, your car was impounded, and you lost work, go sue the state. What are you suing her for? She's raised your child on pennies that you've given her a month.
Now, wait a minute. If they would have asked for $200 a month or $300, I would still pay it.
Just a second. You're a father. You don't have to be asked. You're a father.
Yep.
You're not supposed to be asked. You know in your soul, sir, you're an intelligent man, that $75 a month is an inadequate amount of support for you to contribute for a child.
She lives a lot better off than I do. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's fortunate, sir, that she lives better than you do. I'm telling you that this lady doesn't look to me as if she is driving around in a Mercedes, right, and living in a palatial place. And I'm telling you that if she didn't bother you over the years, you ought to give her 2 medals and mention her in your will, not bring her here to sue her. Your lawsuit's dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll be back over to your right.
And on the next Judge Judy.
He wanted me to get pregnant, and then when the baby was born, he said, Pam, put your maiden name on the birth certificate so I don't have to pay. We started with the pay thing from the get-go.
Right.
That's right, the woman's always right.
See ya.
See ya.
See you in the next life.
See you
maybe.
not in the next life, buddy.
Football mom Beverly Sherman is suing the director of her son's league, Lester Hollins, for emotional damage because he banned her and her 2 sons from the club.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Your Honor, it's number 91 on the calendar in the matter of Sherman versus Hollins.
Sir.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Those belong to your boys?
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Sherman, I've read your complaint. You are suing the defendant for $5,000 for discrimination, stress, mental anguish, because he won't let your 2 sons play in his football league. Right?
That is correct. My 2 sons and my daughter, who's a cheerleader, and my niece.
Well, let's not talk about your niece. I'm not interested in your niece.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about your daughter, who's a cheerleader. That's not part of your lawsuit. Let's talk about your 2 sons. You believe that it is actionable, which means that you have a cause of action against this man for the things that I've just outlined, because he, and I believe you run this football league,
That's correct. I founded it.
won't let your boys play.
Exactly.
Why won't he let your boys play? Do you know?
Well, Mr. Hollins seemed to have a personal vendetta against me for an incident that happened earlier before the season actually got started.
What was the incident?
Well, the incident happened where I was the uniform coordinator.
Uniform coordinator for the team?
For the organization.
Okay.
Okay. I coordinated the accessories and things for the football players, the team moms, the team managers, the coordinators, and everyone involved
So
in the
you were in
organization.
charge of uniform accessories?
Exactly.
Correct?
Yes.
All right. So what happened?
The incident happened where I ordered gold socks to accommodate the colors or whatever in the uniforms, and Mr. Hollins wanted blue socks. And the incident just got blown out of proportion. He, just really, never let me live it down, and he's just been
So
real
you ordered
hard
color
on me.
socks that he didn't, just a minute, let me understand this. You ordered a color socks that he didn't like. You had an argument about that.
A big argument.
And after that, what happened?
After that, everything I have done for the organization, he has just, looked down upon me. He's criticized me. He's just, nothing I can do for the organization is to his liking, everything,
And your boys had played in the league before, in his league before?
This was the start of this organization.
I know, but did they play for a season
Yes,
with
they
his
did.
group?
Yes. This was their first year.
And they did play?
Yes.
So your complaint is that they weren't invited back for year 2?
Exactly.
You want to say something to me?
Yes. That incident that she described was only one of many incidents. The incident that actually brought the last blow was at a meeting on February 28th of '97. We're supposed to have been just a general business meeting, and Mrs. Sherman became unhappy with the agenda and stormed out. So when the board met and discussed the year of events from August, from the incident with the socks, there was an incident on, I believe that was Wednesday, September 3rd, after a high school game. She had verbal confrontation with our cheer coordinator, which she was kicking the lady's vehicle, slamming her door, and this was done in front of several of the high school faculty. And it was
What was that incident about?
It was about a list of names that she was demanding from our cheer coordinator that she did not feel that was produced in a timely manner.
I didn't demand anything, and I'm sure if I was kicking and doing this to this lady's car, in which it was a brand new car, I'm sure I'd be in court right now with her for a
So what
lawsuit.
you're saying is you didn't...
I did not do that to the lady.
You didn't assault her car?
No, I did not. We had verbal words.
Well, I'm beginning to get the gist of this. So your board decided that they didn't want her to be the uniform coordinator anymore.
Well, just not uniform coordinator, just through her conduct and her actions throughout the entire course of the year, which I have here the flow chart for the organization, even with the incident that involved myself and Mrs. Sherman.
Over the socks?
Yes, it was really an ugly event, and there were several other events. As her acting as the uniform coordinator, there were numerous...
Listen, Mr. Hollins, you have a right to say, if you have a board,
Yes.
I don't want this person involved. All I asked you was, did your board decide that they
Yes,
didn't
they did.
want Miss Sherman to be the uniform coordinator anymore?
And to not invite her back, yes.
And not invite her back in what capacity?
Any involvement, and it was basically not wanting her to even return to the organization simply because of her conduct.
Okay. Now, what did that have to do with her boys?
Well, the boys are in her family. It wasn't that we were banishing the boys, but it was just that we preferred that she did not return with her family because of her conduct. And it was brought to our attention, well, do you think it's possible that she can come and just participate, you know, and support her children? And we said, well, yeah, but it's a concern with the other parents, other board members, that her having nothing to do would just give her more ample time to just be more of a disturbance.
Well, Mrs. Sherman, your problem, madam, is that you have to have a legally actionable case. Mr. Hollins is not legally obligated to accept any boy or girl on his team. I'm sure that a lot of people try out for the team that aren't accepted. Is that right?
That's correct.
Exactly, but what he is doing is trying to keep my children from participating in his program because he doesn't personally like me.
So what?
In which
but Mrs. Sherman, that may sound unfair to your children, but let us assume
it's
the following.
unfair, period, in life.
Well, it's unfair in life.
It's discrimination.
You know, if he auditions, what do? You audition people for your team?
Tryouts.
Tryouts. Let's say he has tryouts for his football league, and 50 kids come and try out, and he only accepts...
It's 33 per team.
33 kids.
Exactly.
You're going to have 17, right?
That's right, 17.
17 children who are going to be disappointed. If I permitted your lawsuit, madam, that would mean that the families of those 17 kids who were not asked or invited onto the team could have a cause of action for discrimination, mental stress on themselves, mental stress on their children. Nobody would be involved with coaching a team anymore. Nobody would be involved in starting a team.
This isn't the case.
That's not the case.
This is not the case.
Of course it's the case.
It's not. They didn't even get an opportunity.
Listen to me. They don't have to be given an opportunity.
They do, according to the bylaws of King Conference.
Yeah, he doesn't own this
He doesn't
organization.
own
This is
the
a
whole
public
organization.
Just a second. This isn't a public organization.
It is
It's
so.
a public
Just a second.
organization.
Just
It
a
is
second.
so.
That's just
How
like
is-
saying a black person couldn't go to a white something.
Please,
a white
Mr.
person
Sherman,
could-
don't bring
it's
black and white into this.
discrimination.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay,
Well, it's
how
about
many
color.
how many children in this league are black?
Almost the
95%.
entire
So then stop talking discrimination.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with discrimination.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He has an ego problem, a control problem, and he just does not take constructive criticism from a woman well.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Football Junior League Director Lester Hollins says he had to ban Beverly Sherman and her sons from the league because she was too much to deal with.
It has to do, Mr. Sherman, with the fact that he had an altercation with you, and according to him, the board decided that they didn't want you to be involved anymore.
That's fine.
That's fine. And they would prefer, for the sake of all the other children, not to have you involved because, according to him, and I'll let him go on and tell me what the incidents were that he says. We had one incident where he says that you kicked the car. You had another incident where you had a verbal altercation with him. I mean, I feel sorry for your boys, but you have to understand that not every wrong is legally actionable. Not every wrong results in coming to a court. Sometimes if something like this happens, you have to say to your boys, which you did according to your papers, listen, guys, there is another football league, and you have to be involved with that one because I don't get along with Hollins, I don't get along with this whole organization. There is another place for your boys to play football.
But
Sure.
why do they have to be made to go somewhere else when they haven't done anything?
They
haven't done
Life's
anything.
tough.
I haven't done
Miss Sherman,
anything.
listen to me.
Sure.
You're not following me. I said it's sad. I said it's unfortunate. I said it's probably unfair to the boys that they can't play. All of those things. What I'm saying to you is, it is not legally actionable. Because if it was legally actionable for you, that it would be legally actionable, courts would have to open their doors to the other 17 boys who tried out for that team and who, for one reason or another, were rejected. And it may have been unfair. He may not have liked them because they were too tall, too short, too fat, too thin. He needed a tall one. This was a short one. Whatever reason. He wanted this cheerleader because she was prettier than that cheerleader. He wanted this cheerleader because she was taller than that cheerleader. If I allowed your kind of lawsuit, our courts would be flooded with this kind of case. And we can't have that because not every wrong is subject to a legal redress. It's as simple as that. It's sad. But your boys can play football. They weren't discriminated against because of their race, because of their ethnicity, because of anything else. They were discriminated against, if you can use that term, because he didn't want to look at you during the course of the season.
Not a problem, because I don't
That's
want to look
it.
at him either.
He didn't want to.
So you're
I ask a
saying
question?
that he can make people come and go in this organization as he chooses.
That's absolutely right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today,
Tell them about that you was a prostitute and how you was a good actress because you had to fake for your tricks. You had to fake for your
she
for
only
the
steals
police.
from rich people and whores.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Football Junior League Director Lester Hollins says he had to ban Beverly Sherman and her sons from the league because she was too much to deal with.
You don't seem to understand.
I
It's
don't think
sad,
you got
but
it.
I'm going to say it one more time. Every disappointment does not result in a lawsuit for stress. Right? Your boys have the opportunity to play at another football league where not only they will be welcome, but hopefully the two of you will be welcome. Welcome to participate, welcome to get involved. I would suggest that you use your energies towards more productive things rather than negative things. They are not welcome because you, madam, are not welcome. And the fact that you are fighting here in court about this instead of moving on and getting your boys involved in another football league where you and your boys and your son will all be welcome is a big mistake.
We've already done that.
Good. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll be back with you, right?
The children suffer because of the parents' behavior.
He can't even come out the courtroom
the behavior
and tell the
of the
truth.
parents.
I mean,
is
that's a
why,
shame.
you know, we
That's
just
a
do not
shame.
permit the family in itself.
Parties on Humphreys versus Stewart. Step forward, please.
Company manager Ernestine Humphreys claims her niece, 33-year-old Yolanda Stewart, stole $1,000 of her company's cash.
Ms. Humphreys, the
Yes,
defendant is your niece.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, you are accusing your niece of stealing $1,000 of business money.
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Well, tell me why you think she took this money and how.
I represent a company in Detroit, and I am responsible for making the deposits, weekly deposits. On Tuesday, May the 6th, I was in my office. I had balanced the manager's sheet, counted the money, and I had $7,200 on my desk. My
In
niece,
cash?
Yes, in cash. Already wrapped and counted.
What kind of business is this?
Coin laundries.
A coin laundry. So they collect all the money and then you make a deposit of cash.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there was a knock on the door, and the employee was in the bathroom. So I opened the door. It was my niece. She works down at the next light. And I thought she just saw my car and came by to say hi and whatever. During the time that she was there, I turned and walked away to use the telephone. And when I came back, she suddenly was in a hurry to go. And a couple of days later, the corporate headquarters in Toledo informed me that my bag was missing a roll of tens, 100 tens, which was $1,000. And they didn't understand why this happened. They wanted to know if I had someone helping me count the money, because all of the years that I've worked for this company, that has never, ever happened.
Well, how many people touch this money after you count it and prepare a deposit?
I give it to the owner's son, David, and he takes it and gives it to his father, the owner of the company, and he makes the deposit.
So at least 2 other people touch that bag before it gets to a bank.
Right, but the owner has 26 stores. He's a multimillionaire, and his son is very wealthy. I don't think they need $1,000.
Did you take this money?
No. And second of all, she did not walk away and use the phone. She asked me to walk away and call my sister to see what time my sister and her daughter were coming to Detroit. We both walked to the phone, which I did that, and my sister was not there. We left a message on her machine. And then I said, well, I have to go. I was at work. I seen her car like I always do. I stopped in and say, hey, how you doing? We both talked. The money was on the table. And I talked to her briefly, and then I said, well, I got to get back to the store. I left nobody in charge. I said, I'm going down to Highland Park, and then I'm going back to my store. She said, oh, thanks for coming and all that. She walked me out to my car. I don't know, she came out the second door, and she watched me as I got in my car, and she was talking to me. And this right here is what I had on. I had no jacket. I had no purse, nowhere where I could have stuck $1,000. The day before that, she told me she needed some money. I said, well, I don't have any money. She told me that the day before. And also the day before, I helped her count this money. She paid me $50 out the money for helping her count it, which it wasn't my first time helping her count the money at all. And then after that, she said, she came to me about a few days later. She said, I went to the meeting in Toledo. She was nervous. She came up to my job. She said, they said I'm missing a bundle of tens. And she said, from the house. I said, well, it couldn't have been missing from your house. When I stopped at your laundromat, I said, you were just now writing it on the sheet. She said, oh, you're right. And then after that, that's when I heard it happened at the laundromat, which she never left me, in which her office has a lock on it. So why would she ever say, she could have just asked me to step out and let the door lock.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Let me tell you this.
Yes, Your Honor.
You really do not have any proof that Miss Stewart took this money.
No, it's just circumstantial.
And you understand that it's really unfair for any court to convict someone. And in effect, I would be convicting her of being a thief if I were to grant you this $1,000 judgment that you're after.
I understand.
Especially since there were other people who had their hands on that money. I just think it's so sad that you had a lovely relationship, according to your papers, before this happened, and that you make this accusation without any real proof to back it up.
Your Honor, she was the only one in the office that day while the money was on the desk.
Money. And you needed money.
Well, shh.
Order. I did not.
No, don't talk.
I did not need any money.
Listen to me.
No, I did not.
Listen to me. You may have needed money.
No, I did not.
She may have needed money. Bottom line is, in a court, you have to deal with proof. And there were other people who touched that money after you counted it, prepared a deposit, and gave it to the owner's son. You don't know who the owner's son gave it to. He may have let somebody else.
He gave it to his father.
Well, but you don't know that. Hey, do I look like I need help?
Okay, I'm just helping you out.
You don't know that. It may have gone from his hand to 2 or 3 other people's before it ended up in the bank. So I cannot award you the judgment that you're requesting. I just, again, find it very sad that 2 people who had been very close to each other, clearly, are now not. I think maybe you should apologize to her for letting this thing go this far. Anyway, this case is dismissed. Thank you.
Parties are excused. May step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
God is the final judge, and he sits high and looks low, and he saw what she did, and she knows what she did, and she will be judged for it in a higher court.
Tell them about the robbery that you staged in Cleveland. Tell them that. Tell them about that you was a prostitute and how you was a good actress because you had to fake for your tricks. You had to fake for your
she only steals from rich people and whores.
Okay, well, you was a
She
whore.
could be very dangerous.
I give less than a hell about her. From now on, I don't know her.
The only way that she can ever get a man is by buying men. She used it and gave it to her modern-day pimp man.
That's why it went on like it did, because I prayed to God to let the truth be told. So it
The truth
happened.
hasn't been
It
told.
happened. It happened.
hasn't been
It happened. And she right. God to find a
I
witness.
made
He's the final
my
witness. He
comment
probably strike her down dead tomorrow.
They have brought their dispute over 2 loans before Judge Judith Scheindlin's court.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Your Honor, this is case number 143 on the calendar in the matter of Snook versus Snook. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
You folks were married for 8 years. Still married, but in the process of getting a divorce.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
You have 2 kids?
Yes.
How old are they?
8 and 3. 8 and 3?
Boy and a girl?
Yes.
At issue in this case are 2 loans that were made during the course of your marriage. One for $3,500? $3,800 to your mother.
Yes.
And another one to a friend for $1,500.
Correct.
Correct.
You, sir, seem to acknowledge that these loans were made, but refuse to contribute towards repaying them.
Yes.
You're going to tell me why in a minute, I assume. Also at issue are possession of wedding photographs. Is that in an album?
There's a few that he has that he's taken out, but I have some, he has some, but I prefer to have them all together.
They're like personal photos, private photos that she would like to have back.
I'm talking about the wedding photos.
The wedding photos?
Yes.
There was a few he had, but that was not the issue. The ones that were the issue was the private, personal photos that we had that I want back. And the photos of our kids, videotapes of the children that he has.
Well, first, let's talk about the loans, then we'll talk about these photographs. What was this loan for $3,800 to her mother? What was it for?
Money accumulated through the time of our marriage that her mom had loaned her.
What do you mean loaned her?
Excuse me. Yes, thank you.
Just a second.
Sorry.
I don't need help. What do you mean that she loaned her?
Some of the loans I knew about, some of the loans I did not know about. They were for bills that we accumulated.
Well, sir, you seem to acknowledge that her mother made loans to you as a couple
Yes.
for your bills in the amount of $3,800. Now, that doesn't mean that he's responsible to pay the $3,800. You understand that?
That he's not responsible to pay it?
No, he's only responsible to pay a portion of it.
Yes.
Half of it. You seem not to understand that in your papers.
Well, he won't pay any of it.
You understand, at least I hope you understand now, that he is not solely responsible for paying the $3,800. If your mother made a loan to the 2 of you as a couple, it seems reasonable for each of you to be responsible for half of that loan, unless you can give me some reason why you shouldn't be responsible for half of that loan.
I don't think I should be responsible for any of the loans.
Well, you're going to tell me why in a second. We haven't gotten to that part yet. First, I want to make sure that she's being reasonable.
First,
then I'll get to your being reasonable.
First off, I do think he should pay for most of it, too, because part of the loan that we took out, she wrote off $2,500 of it through my college education that I had before I met Jamie. And
I don't understand that.
We had a debt of about $6,500, and she wrote off $2,500 of it as a thank you to me for me paying for my own college.
I'm not talking about your college, madam. I'm talking about the money that your mother lent, come on, for your household bills, which were $3,800. I assume over the course of time this was in dribs and drabs.
Yes, and part of it also was for his vending that he had to take out, and I figure he should pay for that.
For his what?
He has vending machines, like snack machines and stuff.
Were the vending machines the source of your family's income?
No.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at special effects and repairs on rides.
And you also have some vending machines?
Yes.
And what did you do with the money that you got from these vending machines?
I was paying on the loan that was taken out for the machines. And the accounts were small, so they weren't making enough to pay the loans.
So you were hoping that this business would get going?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to debate this with you any further. You are responsible for half of these loans. Now, let's get to you. You don't think you should be responsible for any loan to her mother.
Correct.
Tell me why.
Currently, I'm paying out a month right now for my expenses and her expenses, $2,800 a month. That's just monthly payments. I write out every month in checks.
Right.
And then I have another $10,000 of other unpaid bills that I'm going to be responsible to pay for also. So as a contribution towards this, she can take care of that loan while I'm taking care of my living expenses.
Do you work?
Presently, right now, no, I don't.
Well, how are you supporting yourself?
Right now, Jamie is supporting us with what he gives us. But Jamie seems to only want to pay when he wants to pay the bills, and he doesn't have a $10,000 debt that I'm involved in. So I disagree with what he's saying there.
What kind of work had you been doing?
I'm a hairdresser. And I did for 10 years, and I supported Jamie for the first 2 years of our relationship.
I assume that when the divorce is over, you're going to go back to work.
Oh, I'm going back to work.
So, sir.
Yes.
Right now, are you voluntarily paying this $2,800, or are you paying it by court order?
Voluntarily.
You're going to have to allocate some of that money towards repaying the loan to her mother. Half of it. Do you understand? $1,800. Half the loan to her mother. Now you have a $1,500 loan to a friend. What was that for? Who wants to tell me?
It was a loan she had taken out from a friend of hers to catch up on some bills we were behind on, and...
Mr. Snook, you keep saying she took out the loans to catch up on bills that we were behind on.
Well...
You mean she asked for the loan?
She did.
And you, too, spent the money on household bills that you were behind on.
Yes.
So, why shouldn't you be responsible for paying back half of those bills?
Initially, I would have felt I was responsible to pay back half, or pay the full amount of the loan or half the loan, except for on the time of our disputing of our difficult times, this gentleman started calling the house and asking her out, and they would go out to the bar and they'd meet and have drinks and stuff, and I thought it was very disrespectful for him to go after my wife and as a friend, and I don't feel like I should pay him now.
You don't have to love him, sir. You just have to pay him. And you only have to pay him half, so it should make you feel better.
I felt he was wrong on that because he felt I was having an affair with this guy, Terry, which I wasn't. He felt I was doing something behind his back, so he wasn't going to repay this loan. He tells me flat out that he's not repaying it because he says, I cheated with another man, and now I can do the debt. But that's not true. And
well, whatever. You asked Terry for the $1,500.
Only because he asked me to.
I did not.
Just a second. You sound, madam,
yes,
you sound like a very, very self-assured person. You didn't ask Terry only because he asked you to. I mean, he didn't strap you down.
No, I don't normally go out and ask people for money.
But you asked Terry for this money. You have to pay $750 back to Terry, and so do you. Do you understand? That's fair. We're talking about being fair. When a marriage breaks up, there are certain assets, and each of you will want half the assets, and there are certain liabilities.
Yeah, but being that I owe him money, I don't think he should be contacting my wife and trying to go out with her.
That's none of your business at this point.
Well, there was a
Just a second. Don't respond. That's none of your business at this point.
That was disrespectful as a friend, and then expect me to pay him money after he's trying to sleep with my wife. And then he wants his money back, so he gets her and the money too.
Let me explain something to you. You made this debt. You and your wife made this debt. If it turned out that you didn't like him over anything, whether you felt that he was disrespectful towards you because he was pursuing your wife, whether that's true or not, it's really not relevant. Whether he disrespected you in some other way, that does not negate the fact that you owe this money. Somebody is going to have to pay him back the money, and you originally agreed to pay him back this money as a couple. Period. End of discussion. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now let's get to the rest of the stuff, which all sometimes is the most sticky of wickets. with regard to people who are divorcing.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She's a black widow, and you let her come in.
Yeah, but
She did her little nest, and you fell for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melinda Snook says her husband James cheated on her. James says Melinda was unfaithful. While waiting for a divorce, they have brought their dispute over 2 loans before Judge Judith Scheindlin.
Wedding photographs, photographs of the children, videos of the babies. These things are treasures of the children's, not really yours. It's interesting, 50% of the marriages in this country unfortunately fail. It's a sad statistic, but true. And so many wedding albums end up having heads cut out of them. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Because that's what you choose to do. Truth is, when your children are adults and much older and you're not here anymore, your children and grandchildren would like to be able to look at their family histories. So I want you to think of these photographs of your wedding and the times that you spent together with your children as really being, you're holding them in trust for your kids. They're not really yours. The wedding albums really will have no sentimental value for you, but they will for your children. The wedding photographs should not be headless. This picture, you have no head in that picture. He has no head. So I don't care how you deal with that. If one person wants to keep them and put them in a vault, we can do that. Or it's very easy. We live in a very technologically sophisticated era. You can make copies of pictures. You can make copies of videos. So you have family videos that are in your possession. Is that right?
Yes.
And you would like them?
Not just the family videos. He also has some personal pictures I want to make sure I get back.
Let's talk about the personal pictures in a second. I'm talking about the children's pictures. If that's not an issue, then don't waste my time.
Oh, no, it is
we put it in the, you put it in your paper, so I'm
yes,
addressing
I want the videos, because he said I couldn't have them.
Sir,
yes.
She should have every picture that you have in your possession, or a copy thereof. You have pictures in your possession?
At home, yes.
Well, whether they're at home or whatever.
I already made the albums for the kids. That's why I want these pictures back.
Fine. He would like copies of all the pictures that you have. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that reasonable?
Yes.
Good. So you add them all up. If you have 100 pictures, each one of you pay for 50 and make copies. So now you have half. And if you have a video that you want, is it a video of the kids?
Yes.
How many videos do you have of the children?
About roughly 8 or 9. I have them here.
Let me see what they're on. What kind of thing are they on?
I'm on VHS tape, Judge.
8
Just a second. My technical advisor is giving me some information.
He can copy them on a VHS tape.
Good. You can copy them on a
VHS tape.
VHS tape. Make her a copy. So she has a copy and you have a copy. Is that fair?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, the photos that you want, I assume, the personal photos, because of the way you say it to me, probably of photographs that you would not like to have broadcast.
Exactly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believed everything she said, that she was fooling around on me and cheating on me, and I took it very hard.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. A divorcing couple, Melinda and James Snook, have come before Judge Judith Scheindlin to decide who should pay for outstanding loans.
Are they
Yes.
all there, sir?
Yes.
And the tape?
Just a second. I want you,
And
this is a
negatives?
tape?
Yes.
The tape in issue. Don't tell me what's on it. This is a family courtroom. I want you to look at these photographs and tell me if these are the photographs that you have a problem with. Okay?
If they're not all there?
Well, don't speculate. Look.
Most of them.
Okay.
There's a few I can see that that he might not call bad that I still consider bad that aren't in there.
But these are the worst of the lot.
Yes.
Now, you want them back or you want them destroyed?
Destroyed.
We're good at that. Okay, so
And
you
no
understand the
copies were
ground
made?
rules? Everything that you have of the kids, everything that you have of the kids is going to be copied so that each of you has a copy, so that hopefully the children will have always copies, pictures of themselves growing up,
Exactly.
that you will each have photographs, hopefully that the children will always have the photographs to look back on, and you, sir, are going to give her a check for $2,650, and you are going to assume those two debts yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay? Now, is there anything that I've left out?
Yes.
What?
A mutual friend of ours that caused this whole thing that he is bothering to leave out why he won't pay the debts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was convincing, I guess.
Why? Why?
She told me what I wanted to hear.
Just a second. He's paying the debt.
There's more to this than that, though.
Listen to me, madam. I don't have all day. I got a lot of cases to do. I've just resolved every issue that you presented to me in your complaint. Okay? I'm not a psychiatrist. If you have a problem, you should see a therapist. I'm here to resolve legal issues. Now,
Well,
are there any other legal issue of property that I have not resolved?
There was some pictures, as I said, that are missing that brought into a girl. It brings in another friend that caused a lot of problems.
Did you understand what I said, Ms. Nook?
Yes.
Good. Is there any other property that you are interested in?
There is.
What?
There's a few, but I know she doesn't have them all. There might be nothing to you, but there are to me.
Listen to me. I have just resolved this. You understand what the court's ruling is?
Yes.
Good. One last bit of advice. You made two children. They're very young. They're 8 and 3 years old. You are going to have contact with each other for the next 20 years. Graduations, proms, engagements, weddings, after that, grandchildren. If your marriage is over for whatever reason, I want you to love your children more than you hate each other. Is that fair? Your children didn't ask to be born into a war zone. And I'm certain that when you had your kids, you had every intention of giving them a loving, secure home with 2 parents. That didn't work out. The children's emotional security should be paramount in your mind. And I want you to understand, and you to understand, that if either of the children has an emotionally damaged parent because of what you do to each other, that's going to hurt the kids. So I'm very serious with you. Love your children more than you hate each other. Okay? That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Good call, Judge.
And on the next Judge Judy.
It went a little bit too far, and he started having lunches with her and leaving little notes and stuff for her that he never did for me in our marriage, that stuff I wanted.
Me and her were really close friends at the time. And
friends?
As a close friend, she was trying to tell me what was going on, what I wasn't seeing, that she was doing something wrong that I didn't see.
He told me that I was a psycho and she was normal, and I thought for sure they were going to get together. Are you still friends with her?
No.
Do you still talk to her?
Nope.
Yes, you did.
Well,
You went and talked to her. After what she had done, you went and talked to her like it was still okay, and that's not right, Jamie. You did talk to her, and you even said so. And you had her pager number into your phone book.
But in turn, I don't know everything she told me was true or not. If you were with the people she said.
Why didn't you ask me? She wanted things to happen between both of us. She told me that I was going to take her. First, I took Jamie away from her, and Joe, what was going to do is steal her children. Meanwhile, she was trying to become me.
She was convincing, I guess.
Why? Why?
She told me what I wanted to hear.
She's a black widow, and you let her come in.
Yeah, but
she did her little nest, and you fell for it.
23-year-old Filipino wife, Arlene Rowe, when he answered an ad in an international dating magazine. Thomas says when his new bride came to live with him in the United States, she charged a fortune in long-distance phone calls back to the Philippines. The marriage ended in divorce, and now he wants her to pay the phone bill.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is number 173 on the calendar in the matter of Lowe versus Lowe. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
This is your former wife.
Yes.
And while usually the background of a couple's courtship, etc., is usually not germane to the issues of the case, I think that in this case it is. How did you meet your wife, sir?
Through correspondence. A friend of mine told me that about it. He had met a wife overseas, and I tried it myself, and I wrote to Arlene, and she wrote back to me.
How did you get her name to write to her?
It was through a magazine that this gentleman informed me of. His name was Cherry Blossoms, and I wrote to her there, several other ladies too.
Did you advertise in this magazine?
My friend advertised me in there.
Your friend advertised for you? Okay. So you began to correspond, and then what happened?
She said she was about to go overseas to take a job, and at that particular time, we had been corresponding for a year. And
Where was she living at the time?
In the Philippines. And I told her I was going to come to see her and not to go, that I asked her to marry me, and she agreed.
This was before you met her?
We had been corresponding. I told her I was going to go see her,
But before you met her, you told her that you wanted to marry her?
Yes, and that's why I was going to the Philippines to see her.
You wanted to marry him?
Yeah, but before he told me about that, I supposed to have like my visa is already ready. Then I told him I have to go because I have my responsibility for my sister. So he told me, and he called to my mom, and he talked to my dad. Then he told to my dad that tell him not to go. I will be responsible for all his responsibility.
For all of your
my visa
expenses.
is ready already. Then he told me to not to go.
How old are you?
I'm 23 right now.
How old are you?
45.
How old was she when you began this correspondence, Mr. Lowe?
I do believe she was 20.
Didn't you think she was a little young for you?
Oh, yes, I wrote and told her so. And she wrote back and told me no, she wasn't.
Well, you should have been older and wiser, sir.
Yes.
Because the thrust of your complaint is that while you're divorced now, she ran up phone bills in the amount of $3,400 to her mother.
Yes.
But he used my mom. Before that, he told to my mom and my sister because he's working with him.
You mean your family was working with him?
Yeah, they're working with him.
What kind
so
of
that's
work?
Why, because they have a correspondence. We have correspondence businesses. Then, my mom was the one who's handling his business in the Philippines.
What kind of business?
It's like correspondence services.
Correspondence services?
Yes,
what kind of correspondence services?
It's called Romance International.
What?
It's called Romance International. I developed my own service and run it on the internet.
Romance International?
Yes, run it on the internet. But, Your Honor, I did not call them for that. I sent them the pamphlets and everything in the mail.
But he told me it's okay to call to my mom. And you accept not only my mom, you accept the collect calls from your agent that I talked to them.
Miss Lowe, did you talk to your mother a lot?
Yeah, I talked to my mom.
Did you talk to her for a long time?
No.
When you would call her or when she would call you collect to talk to you, just stay on the phone for a half hour? Sometimes longer?
Yeah. If I talk to him, if I talk to my mom, he talked to...
But mostly you talk to her?
Yes.
What happened when you started to get these big phone bills? Did he complain?
Yeah, he told me, but I paid for the phone bill when I started working. Then he told me I didn't pay for it. The first salary that I got from here, I pay for his phone bill. But he don't give me any money.
Mr. Lowe.
Yes.
What makes you think that I should order her to pay you money for this phone bill?
First of all, Your Honor, she agreed when I was first initially going to take the phone out to pay for just the international phone calls. I didn't ask her to pay for anything else, just her phone calls and calls she made to the psychic for $195. That was all she was supposed to pay for. I gave her money every week, which I have records of, that went to the bank, which was taken out in the Philippines. So money was given to them every week for her responsibility, even when I was not married to her. When she agreed to marry me, I took care of her responsibilities in the Philippines. But in order to keep the phone on, she promised to pay just the international phone bills. That's all I asked. She never had to pay any other bills at the house.
Okay, so she didn't. So you got a divorce.
Yes. Well, no, the problem with the divorce was I wanted to move to Brentwood, and mother told her no, she couldn't move to Brentwood with me, and she had to work her $4.25 an hour job. I was trying to get her a job paying $12 an hour, $15 an hour. I was ready to send her to school. I had taken out a $28,000 loan to take her to school, and the mother told her she couldn't go to school. She had to work.
No, my mom didn't told that. You want me to send to school. Then, like, when they interview me, then they told me I have to study like three years to pay $38,000. But you told them that, okay, after you finish your school, you're gonna pay me. I have to pay that for the rest of my life for $38,000.
So what you did you tell her that she was going to have to pay back the tuition?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Lowe.
The whole thing was I would have taken out the loan for the thing, and I was very willing to do that.
Mr. Lowe, you married a baby.
Your Honor, when I first married her, she did not strike me as a baby.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm trying to be good in sex, but it takes time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Arlene Rose says when she came from the Philippines to marry Thomas, a man she met by placing an ad in a dating magazine, he treated her horribly and quickly divorced her. Now he's suing her for long-distance phone calls she made to her family.
In my untrained eyes, sir, this looks like a May-December romance.
Yes.
Did you ever hear that expression?
Yes.
And sometimes men marry women and they're very extravagant. They go out and they spend all their husband's money on jewelry and furs and manicures and pedicures and hats. Do women still buy hats? No.
Yeah.
What's he do?
Your child bride called her mother a lot.
No, her mother called her.
Or her mother called her a lot. Because she evidently needed to talk to her family, very far away from her family. That's what happens when you marry somebody who's very young.
No, Your Honor, the reason they called was because her family kept getting into financial problems.
But you know that. You already know all my responsibilities.
Listen, Miss Lowe, I gather from your answer that you feel as if you have a very strong responsibility to family, even your family in the Philippines. What's supposed to happen when you get married is you're not supposed to necessarily lose that allegiance to your family, but you and your husband create your own unit. You have a mother in the Philippines, you have a father in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Yes? You have sisters?
Yes.
You have brothers?
Yes.
They're supposed to take care of themselves. That's not his responsibility.
Yeah, he told me that's not his responsibility.
It's not. And it's not your responsibility. You're a baby, 20 years old. You got a mother, your father, brothers, sisters, everybody else in the Philippines. All of a sudden, because you got married, you married somebody who maybe had an extra couple of bucks, that doesn't make your family in the Philippines your financial responsibility. When you're married, this is your financial responsibility, but you're not married anymore. I'm just telling you that for the future, because otherwise you're going to be a very unhappy lady the next time you get married. You can't.
I didn't tell him to responsibility for my family. I told him I have to send my sister on school. So that's my responsibility.
Why do you have to send your sister to school?
Because I'm the second to the eldest.
And what about your mother and father?
They work a lot for my brothers and sisters. And like that time, my father are sick, so I have to go to work.
So
and
what
like
you're
he
telling
knows
me
all
is,
all of that.
so what you're telling me is, that you had to work here and send money back to your family in the Philippines? Is that what you're telling me?
No. I came here asked to his wife, to be his wife. I came here 6 months. I worked for him. In American Embassy, he told that even I came here, I still receive any salary from his business, but I don't get any single penny. He gave me $10, $20. The first time he gave me is $20. And the last one before we leave, he gave me only $10. And like he told me, I always stay in the house. I work for him, I work for his business. I only sleep for 4 hours to work in his business. Then like, I don't get anything. I work, I clean the house, I do everything. And like I told him, he have 1 week salary for $1,000 or $2,000. Then I work for 2 weeks to $200, $300. But I give him all my first salary. So I told him, did I ask you any money from your salary? I didn't even touch your money. Even we have joint account.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Arlene Rose says when she came from the Philippines to marry Thomas, a man she met by placing an ad in a dating magazine, he treated her horribly and quickly divorced her. Now he's suing her for long-distance phone calls she made to her family.
Mr. Lowe, you made a mistake.
Yes.
I believe that your former wife probably made a mistake. Is it your intention to go back to the Philippines? Or are you going to stay here in the United States?
I have to move on to my life. That's all I want.
So what do you want to do? Where do you want to live?
I have to settle all my problem here.
What kind of problems do you have here, Miss Lowe? Other than this one. This one is I'm going to make a non-problem for you. What other problems do you have?
About the status I have
You
in
mean
this.
your visa status?
Yes, Mom.
Do you want to stay in the United States or do you want to go home to the Philippines?
I don't know if I can survive. Maybe I'll survive because I work for 2 jobs. I work 7 days.
You
and
work
I
two jobs now?
Yes, Mom.
You send money home to your family?
Sometimes. But I have to settle all my bills.
What other bills do you have?
I have to pay for my lawyer.
Which
I
lawyer?
have to pay for my car and my insurance.
What lawyer do you have to pay for?
For my case.
You mean for your immigration case?
Yes, Mom.
Are you okay financially, Mr. Lowe?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
You think
well, actually, no, Your Honor. I've got, from our marriage, we've got major bills. We've got about $24,000 in back debt.
For what?
Some of it, a lot of it is mine. Then there's $9,000 between the tax stuff that I put off to help her family when I gave her money to help her family, $3,000, and put off paying taxes that I was supposed to pay the taxes
That's
with.
your problem. That's your problem.
Yes.
Mr. Lowe. I don't think she was, except for her phone bills, I don't think she was a very expensive lady to keep. Right?
No, Your Honor. I paid her a salary every week, and the records show I was putting $180 to $200 a week for her to send back home, and I have records for that.
Did you send back that money home?
No, because he owed my mom's money. Because when he sent some money from me, he told me that's my allowance as his wife. But I spent that money on his business. I told him about that.
Mr. Lowe, who initiated the divorce proceedings here in California?
She left the house, so I tried to reconcile with her. I initiated the divorce proceedings.
You got it. See how fast he's a quick study. And did you have anything in the divorce proceedings about this $3,400 debt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And
She
what
agreed
was
to
that?
pay for it. It's
Where-
a marital agreement.
Do you have that in writing?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
This is the one.
She has it.
when he gave that papers, he already signed the papers. Then the one that he told that to sign it, and I bring it to my lawyer, the second agreement. Because he changed the agreement that it says $3,400 to pay for 30 days. Then he want me to sign that papers.
Just a second. Is there another paper?
Yeah, we
That,
have
Your Honor,
another.
because of the first, we had the first original marriage agreement, and it wasn't notarized. That's why I have to come here now. And because it wasn't notarized, I had to get a second agreement done. I took that to her job. She said she had to go see her lawyer again with that. She never came back with that. We were forced to use the first agreement.
Let me see your judgment of divorce, sir.
This one.
She has.
I want to see if it refers to the settlement agreement. Oh.
The first agreement wasn't notarized, Your Honor. That's why they could not use that agreement in the court. That's why I had to come to small claims court, because it wasn't notarized before the first of the year.
But Mr. Lowe, you have to understand something, sir. I like to see the right thing happen at the end of a case, because that's what I think that's supposed to happen in court. And if you show me an agreement and you say it's incorporated in your judgment to divorce, I have no choice, and I've explained that to your wife. I have no choice but to give you your judgment for $3,400, even though I don't feel good about it. I don't think she's, I don't think she's stupid, but I think that she was vulnerable, certainly more vulnerable than you are. So I feel sort of badly about having to make a judgment against her for $3,400, considering that she works 2 jobs and trying to maintain herself and send money home for her sister to go to school. I mean, that's hard. But now I have an out. Whew.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
You say here, sir, we have no community assets or liabilities.
The second, yeah.
That's what it says here.
Community assets liability, yes.
That's what it says. You have no community assets or liabilities.
That was before, when we first signed that agreement, that was before all the taxes came. So that's when we tried to make the second agreement.
This is dated November 7th.
Yes.
This is dated in October.
Yes, I could not use the first one.
You can't use it?
That's because it wasn't notarized.
So it wasn't notarized, so what am I supposed to do?
That's why when I went to court, the judge said if I wanted to settle this, I had to then take her to small claims court.
Okay, so it's not part of the judgment of divorce, so I'm not bound by another court's ruling.
No,
that
you're
it's
not.
Part of another. All right, then that's very easy. Mr. Lowe, your wife is 23 years old?
Yes, Mom.
You're 45 years old. You're a man of the world. She's not. She was extravagant in the way she made phone calls. You have money, not a lot, probably, but certainly more than she does.
Yes,
That'd be a fair statement? I'm not going to burden her with another debt of $3,400. This case is dismissed.
All right, excuse, you may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
It's terrible. My sex is terrible, and I don't have experience on bed. That's why.
I told her I would take her to see doctors if she wanted to talk to them with counseling. I had a Filipino sex therapist that was on the internet that I also had her in contact with. I did everything possible to help her overcome that part of her not knowing, being that familiar with what was supposed to be going on in the bedroom. I was very patient with her with that. I figured we had plenty of time. After all, we're both Catholic. We had married in the church. I figured we had plenty of time to solve that.
I'm trying to be good in sex, but it takes time. Not only 1 year, 2 years, but because I never had sex with anyone. If I have, maybe I'll be good, but I'm not. He already destroyed my life.
ফোর ফিঙ্গার এটা
ফোর ফিঙ্গার বন্ধু ওটা
ভাই আমি একটা কথা এই ভিলেট রিজিয়ন না ভিলেট বাংলাদেশে বিশ্ব সেরা রাশার ভিলেট রিজিয়ন না
হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা ওর মনে করেন ওর টিমেরই তুমি ফিঙ্গার
ও আচ্ছা তাহলে দেখতে হবে আমাকে একটু রিসার্চ করতে হবে তাহলে
রিচার্জ
ভাই আমাদের সাথে ভাই আমরা নতুন বলে মজা নিয়েন না ভাই, বুঝছেন? মানে সিক্স ফিঙ্গার এটা এটা মাইনে নেওয়া যায় না ভাই, মানার মতো না।
আরে ভাই আপনি বাংলাদেশটা বলে ভিডিও দেখেন, এই যে অনেক যে ছাড়তাছে বাংলাদেশটা বলে ভিডিও দেখেন, অনেক যে ছাড়তাছে গিয়ে দেখেন একটা দেখে
আমি
পরে আমার
আমি
গুলো কথা
আমি
কন।
কি আমি কি বিস্কুট খাবো আজকে? বিস্কুট দিবে?
এই ভাই একটা ভালো ট্রেনিং করাও।
এই বড় ভাই কি বিয়ে শাদী করছেন?
কোন জায়গায় নামাবো বলো তো, আমি কোন জায়গায় নামাবো?
ডোনাল্ড ট্রাম্পের জায়গায়।
আপনি বিমান শক্তিতে নামাই দেন, বিমান শক্তিতে নামাই দিয়া ওই যে নিচে দেখেন ওই যে নতুন এলেই ইয়ে দিচ্ছে না।
তোমরা নামে যাও, তোমরা নামে যাও।
এই হালাল বিলাই মারছে, হালাল বিলাই।
এই কামড়া করছে কি দেখছেন?
বিলাই ধরে আঘাত দিল হালাল বিলাই।
আর্সেনাল যদি কোথায় থাকে আর্সেনালে নামান, যদি আর্সেনাল কোথায় থাকে।
তোমার শ্বশুর বাড়ি কোথায়? শ্বশুর বাড়ি
ভাই ওদের কয়টা গেছে?
আর্সেনাল ফাটানো নাই।
আমাকে মারছে কেমন করে? আমাকে দেড় থেকে একটু ওয়ান টেপ মারছে। পুরা ভালো কথা তো, দেড় থেকে মারা অনেক কঠিন
ভাই। অনেকে আমি পুরো একলা ইউজ করতে পারি।
খ্যাকশিয়াল এইভাবে খ্যাকশিয়াল ঘুরে বেড়াচ্ছে কি?
খেললে মনে নাম কি?
ভাই আমার ফোনে 26% চার্জ আছে, নাইলে আপনাদের ডিসকর্ডে মানে আসতো, নাইলে আমি গেমে ঢুকতে না।
গেমে ঢুকলে ঢুকো, খেলি একসাথে।
স্মুথে খেলো, স্মুথে একদম পুরা স্মুথে দাও, তাহলে এমনি ইয়া হয়ে যাবে নি।
ভাই একলা কি করলে ফাইট ভাই পারমো আমি? না না না, আমি কি পেরেবো একলা স্কুলের সাথে ফাইট করতে?
পারবে পারবে।
আগে
তুমি আসলে তুমি যখন বলবে তুমি পারবে, তুমি পেরে যাবে।
আমি বললাম তুমি ডুয়া করিতে, তুমি জানো একেবারে 1v না 1v 100 জনের সারে পেরিয়ে যাবে, তুমি ডুয়া করলাম আমি।
100 তো পারাই যেতে পারে, তুমি তো 100 পারবে।
হ্যাঁ এই আমি ডুয়াটা করছিলাম, সামনে একটা এনিমি দেখেছি আমি সামনে, আর এনিমি আমাকে মেরে দিচ্ছে সামনে বসে, সামনে
লাগাও মাইয়া।
শেষ ভাই, আপনাদের ভাই স্কট শেষ, পালানো যাবে না,
শেষ আমাদের মাইনাস করার জন্য আমরা মাত্র কাস্টম খেলে আসেন, চলেন।
আমার পরানো যাহা নুব গেমিং কেমন আছো তুমি?
ভাই আমি ঢুকতেছি ভাই, আমার নেন ই করেন, টিম কোডটা দেন।
চলে আসো ঝটপট করে চলে আসো
ভাই। অনেক মোবাইল থাসো লাগে খেলমু, মোবাইল চার্জার লাগে
কোড দিব আসো। 87
হ্যাঁ কোড দেন
78
78
46
46
074